30 general managers to try to put some things in place to curtail tanking. I'm kind of sick of this topic, I'm not going to lie. But the Jazz are playing the Grizzlies tonight, and the most intriguing thing is who will be able to win the game by losing the game. Both these teams are unserious about competing. There some good NBA games last night. Good college basketball on tap over the weekend. We'll see if the Running Utes can build on just a really gutty good win on the road against a really good West Virginia team. BYU's back in action. They're trying to figure out life without Richie Saunders. So we'll get to some college and pro hoops on the program today. Christmas Eve for soccer fans as Real Salt Lake will kick off its 22nd campaign. Coming up tomorrow in Vancouver, did a little talking Real with our friends at KMYU with Brian Dunseth, who joined the program yesterday. If you're an RSL fan looking for a little knowledge, Dunny is your guy. Up on our website of the podcast page, the conversation from yesterday, and the Talking Real television show is at KUTV.com. You can also check it out on any of my socials. I make it very easy. It's just my name, at Spence Checketts. So a lot to do, some Olympics, some basketball, a little soccer, some off-season NFL, college football, of course, always something we're keeping an eye on. Our first guest right out of the gates, The Voice. That's right. Former Midland Midday radio host and now the director of broadcasting at the University of Utah. The voice of the Utes, Bill Riley, stops by. We'll get Bill's take on the current landscape of the basketball program and maybe get a little football in because there's never a bad time of year for that. One of the hippest NBA writers around, Howard Beck, with some hot takes on the show today, I'm sure, as the All-Star break is now behind us. I had a really cool opportunity today up at T-Box in Centerville. My guy Jordan Bloxham went through a fitting for some new golf clubs. I had never done that before. Paul Pugmire was there. He mic'd us, and we're going to release a little podcast if you're ever curious about what that process is like. So Paul will stop by today, and, of course, we'll talk a little PGA Tour as the Genesis Invitational is going on currently. And then Sean Mooney, former Ute basketball player, currently our color analyst on the broadcast here on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700, live in studio. So always fun when I get to hang with Sean, certainly on a Friday night. Bill Riley, Howard Beck, Paul Pugmire, Sean Mooney, me, Spence Checketts. Hello, how are you? Happy Friday. All of you, the great listeners. And Olympic hockey expert Porter Larson on the show. Hello, young man. How are you?
I wouldn't go that far. In fact, I wouldn't go there at all. But I'm doing well.
Have you watched any of this game?
I've watched it. But even with our local hockey club, which I love watching, I love tuning in. I very much I don't want to speak on something I have no clue of, and that is the game of hockey. I'm still learning. I know the rules now, but we're still in the infancy stages of my hockey knowledge.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. There really is nothing like overtime in hockey. The golden goal, especially if it's in the Stanley Cup playoffs, like a Game 7, you don't really even need to be a hockey fan to understand just how intense it is.
That I concur with.
Yeah.
Same feeling in soccer a lot of the times, right, where you could watch a 90-minute soccer game 0-0, and it could not be all that fun. And then all of a sudden, if it is a golden goal situation, I know that's not always the case, that's just a really fun setting in sports, almost like end of a Game 7.
So let's be clear, you're a football guy that likes his steak rare and his whiskey neat, right? Let's be clear.
Steak rare.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
No whiskey.
Okay, I'm so proud of you. You're still on the Andrew Huberman train. I'm proud of you. What has your attention the most right now? If you're at home on the couch, chilling, getting some push-ups in, some sunlight exposure, from time to time, so your circadian rhythm starts going so you can sleep. What has your attention?
I hate to say this, but it's been the NBA stuff, and it's in a negative connotation. Yep. You've said it a lot. Adam Silver might not be good at this. I don't think he's good at this. I'll just go and say it in that way. I think that I hear new ideas, new like galaxy brain changes for the NBA that could save problems that he's kind of created. And he inherited a league that was in a really good place in 2014, 2015. And now I think, although the hoops is still awesome when the competition is, this is a guy that has a brand new idea, it seems like, every year, and I don't think a lot of them are great. So the NBA stuff is top of mind for me right now, and I don't know that it's really in a positive light, but March, April, June, just around the corner.
Spring hoops rules. It still does. It always will. And we're inching closer and closer as we will turn our calendars to March in about 10 days. All right, Ryle's our first guest, the voice of the Utes. But before Bill stops by on a Friday afternoon, courtesy of our good friends at Prize Picks, it's time now for your opening tip.
Welcome to The Drive with Spence Checketts on Utah's #1 sports talk. Now into the studios of ESPN 700 to set the scene for the show. The opening tip of The Drive is brought to you by Prize Picks. Use the code ESPN700 with Prize Picks.
Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right, Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting, so don't miss your chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks, available here in Utah, so you're safe. You're all good there. New feature alert, Prize Picks now has early payouts. If a player gets off to a hot start, you have the option to cash out on those winnings before the game even finishes. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the promo code ESPN700 to get $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup. Promo code ESPN700 to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup, because on Prize Picks, it is good to be right. All right, the All-Star break is behind us. NBA basketball returned last night. The Utah Jazz will be in action tonight. Last night, it was kind of an interesting watch with the Pacers and the Wizards. They were both trying to lose intentionally, sat a bunch of players. The Wizards won, but we know that they actually lost. San Antonio was able to dominate the Phoenix Suns. So there was some good basketball last night. The Warriors, I think, might join the tank train. Clips got a good win over the Nuggets. So we move over to tonight, where the Utah Jazz will take on the Memphis Grizzlies. This was supposed to be a homecoming of sorts for Jaren Jackson Jr., but of course, knee surgery, he is out for the season. And honestly speaking, as Porter just alluded to, I think really the only thing that will be somewhat enticing and entertaining the rest of the way, outside of a short window, really good matchup between like the Spurs and OKC, watching these tanking teams try to, when they're both trying to lose. And the Grizzlies and the Jazz are both trying to lose now. Okay, the Jazz have been fined. The Grizzlies, not yet. We'll see if Adam Silver actually backs up what he's going to say. We get another Pacers-Wizards game tonight. Again, two teams that are actively trying to lose. It's like these coaches are making moves to try to lose. And it's just hilarious to watch as it pertains to what we're supposed to be watching when we watch competition. The Bobby Marks lack of integrity comment, sorry, like that's exactly what this is. But I want to read this one more time because I don't think this is getting enough attention. The NBA player participation policy that was put into place in 2023-2024 has it's a 64-page document. But in the name of the opinion of this show, which continues to be the Jazz deserved what they got, but so do at least 6 or 7 other teams, if not 8 or 9. I bring you to Section D, which, by the way, is available on the NBA's own website. Just search Player Participation Policy NBA. It's on the NBA Communications website. These are their bylaws. This is in their constitution. Section D, shutdowns. Teams must refrain from any long-term shutdown or near shutdown whereby a star player ceases participating in games or begins to play a materially reduced role in circumstances affecting the integrity of the game. So here's where it gets a little sticky, because as I've talked about before, and where the Jazz just kind of blew it, historically speaking, the way that teams have tanked is simply manipulating injury reports. And of course, it gets a little bit sticky because the teams have enough of a smoke screen to stand up and say, well, wait a second, are you calling our doctors a liar? And let me be clear, yes, I am, but there's no way to prove it because I'm not a doctor. And then you get into a really sticky spot about whether or not injuries are real. But historically speaking, the teams that have been able to tank and get away with it did not do what the Jazz did, simply shutting players down. That's a violation of their own player participation policy. What teams have historically done, as we talked about yesterday with Smitty, way back in the 80s, when the Houston Rockets had Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon was starring for Houston with Phi Slamma Jamma, they shut him down. Or excuse me, as Smitty outlined, they basically surrounded him with bad players on purpose, Ralph Sampson actually played a lot that year, but their plan was to lose to try to get Akeem, who obviously changed the course of their franchise. The example we keep coming back to on the show is the Spurs with David Robinson, who shut him down in 96-97 because Tim Duncan was a senior at Wake Forest. So there is a way to do this. But when it comes to how blatant it's been this year and how many teams are disregarding the actual rule, it has led to the information that came out yesterday that Adam Silver informed all 30 general managers that the NBA plans to make anti-tanking rule changes for next season. Stakeholders have intensified dialogue about combating tanking. Now, the good news is I don't think we're going to have to worry about this next year with this team, barring some sort of catastrophic string of bad luck. The worst four-year period of Jazz basketball in the history of the organization by far and by any metric should at least start to be lifted next year. But as it pertains to what the regular season product could look like, this is important to understand because I just simply will never buy into what the NBA leans into, which is we just signed a $72 billion TV deal and you still love the playoffs. Both those things are true. But I'm not going to sit here and be okay with a league that has a regular season product for 5.5 months that sucks. Whether it's load management, whether it's tanking, whether it's players just deciding not to show up. So here are the things that have been proposed. We'll see actually what's enacted. They continue to debate it. But before we catch a break, first-round picks can be protected only top 4 or top 14 plus, meaning 5 through 13, you can't protect those anymore. Of course, the Jazz and the Wizards have top 8 protected picks at stake here. Lottery odds freeze at the trade deadline or a later date. That is dumb. That does nothing at all. No longer allowing a team to pick top 4 in consecutive years and or after consecutive bottom 3 finishes. There are some things to kind of like about the second part of that, but I don't love no longer allowing a team to pick in the top 4 in consecutive years. I mean, we haven't been lucky enough here to have the lottery odds kind of fall our way. But if that can ever happen, goodness gracious, maybe we finally have the answer to what needs to happen to have a parade on State Street, which is what we're all hoping for. Teams can't pick in the top 4 the year after making the conference finals. That's dumb. Lottery odds allocated based on 2-year records. Lottery extended to include all play-in teams. And finally, they should do this, flatten odds for all lottery teams. So those are the ideas that are on the table for now. All right, the running Utes. Alex Jensen, congratulations, man. A great road win against a really good basketball team at West Virginia. They welcome in UCF tomorrow, okay? 7 o'clock Saturday night. All right, Huntsman Center. Let's get there. Let's get some people in the building to support these young men after they come back from a couple-game road trip. So we'll catch a break and bring in the voice of the Utes, Bill Riley, coming up on the other side of a Friday Drive right here on ESPN 700.
on her Huff. Inside it goes. Obioha lost it. Try to hurry up with it for Utah.
Good job by Okonkwo getting on that ball to Obioha.
They throw it ahead to James. James will dunk it down with two hands. Okonkwo running the floor.
I went to fill up my water bottle, and the U.S. scored 2 goals. Must have been the Flying V. Quack. Where's Gordon Bombay? Voice of the Utes, probably consuming some Olympic hockey on a Friday. Bill Riley, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Spence. I haven't been watching it live, but I've been keeping track. And it looks like the United States is playing pretty well today against the old Slovakians, huh?
Yeah, 4-0. The Canadians handled their business earlier. It's funny, everybody just assumed that it was going to be the U.S. and Canada. But now that all the NHL, like Sweden has 12 NHL guys,
right.
This is not as easy as it looks. But I'll tell you what, whether you like hockey or not, it does look like we're going to get U.S.-Canada Sunday night. That would be must-watch television.
The women's final yesterday lived up to billing. The United States huge favorites in that game, and the Canadians scrappy as can be, goes to overtime. By the way, I love 3-on-3 overtime hockey.
Yep.
It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And now the men and the Canadians are. I mean, it's the this is again. It's what you want on the biggest stage. This is. Outside of a Stanley Cup final, this is about as close as you get to being a Stanley Cup final if we get the United States and Canada. And it's going to be of the 50 best hockey players in the world, maybe 30 of them will be on the ice in that gold medal game. It's fantastic.
Have you ever called hockey in your career? I feel like you've called a bit of everything. Have you ever done any hockey play-by-play?
I have not. I would love to try it sometime. My buddy Mike Folta does a great job doing the Mammoth, and Tyson Whiting's done such a good job with the Grizzlies for years. I would love to give it a chance. It moves so fast. It's so exciting. I love the game. I watch it as much as I can, but I've never gotten that chance. So Mammoth folks, if listening, if my guy Mike Folta ever falls ill, and you would like a fairly experienced broadcaster to give it a crack, I'd love to give it a try. Your dad, by the way, I tell this story all the time in my classes. I had never called soccer before in my life. I maybe called a high school game somewhere along the line. And one of the great honors of my life was your dad having the trust in me to be the voice of Real Salt Lake in that inaugural year and moving forward. And I absolutely love it. It's one of the great honors of my life and my career. So it was great. But I had not really much. I played soccer, but I didn't have much of a soccer broadcast background before your dad gave me a chance.
Well, he may have been consulted by his right-hand man, who was also his offspring. So let's not give Dave all the credit, Bill. Please, a little credit coming this way.
So do I send the fruit basket to Ben, or do I send? Who am I sending it to?
Good memory. You can send it to Ben. I don't eat a lot of fruit. But ultimately, I'll just say it's unfortunate that you're not calling those games anymore. And I think I'll just leave that there. How about that?
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. I got to say, and I'll be honest. So the Utes, they get off to an 18-3 start. And I'm just going to be honest. In my head, I'm like, okay, how are they going to let this one go? I'm sorry, but that was my thought. And I was so proud of those guys. And here's why, Bill. That's a tough place to play. That's a good basketball team. And they stayed focused and intense on defense the entire game. That was not an offensive masterpiece. They were not hitting a lot of crazy shots like they were to start the BYU game to stay close. That was a gritty, plucky Alex Jensen defensive effort win. And I'm just so happy for him. I know the season hasn't been great, and we're not expecting a ton the rest of the way. But in a vacuum, I just thought that was a really cool night.
It's everything because you know Alex well. I've gotten to know him so well this year. The hallmark of what he preaches, because he's a Majerus disciple and where he comes from, is defense. And they just haven't played for most of the year the kind of defense Alex wants them to play. But the other night, and you're right, West Virginia, that's a good team. They were an NCAA bubble team before that loss the other night. They're going to have a lot of work to do now. Spence, they were the eighth best defensive team in the country coming in, and Utah goes out, as you said, to an 18-3 lead in that game. But they won that game not because they made great shots, they made that game because they got stops. And Terrence Brown and Don McHenry haven't been great defenders this year. They guarded pretty well. Seydou Traore was really the defensive hero the other night. He took their best player, Honor Huff, who's an unbelievable three-point shooter, and just took him out of his game all night long. So it was really what I think Alex and his staff have been craving for an entire year. It was a full 40 minutes of good defense. And, again, it was a rock fight. It wasn't pretty, but they found a way to win that game.
Well, I just hope it's a moment that Alex can use as a teaching lesson because, I was at the Houston game, and one of maybe the only benefit of not having a ton of fans in that building, I think I was on like the 14th or the 15th row. Good seats, not amazing seats, but I could hear everything Alex was saying. Look, ultimately you want fans there, but it was a really cool thing for me because I know exactly what he's trying to do. I know the terms. I know what he's trying to do on offense. The Emmanuel Sharp kid was hitting just wide open threes. And in my mind, I'm like, freaking take away his airspace. And Alex is yelling at them to close out, yelling at them to get up, and they're just not doing it. And so my takeaway from that Houston game, first of all, Houston is awesome. I picked them to win the league. And second of all, like Alex really is trying. It's not like he's not trying to implement the things that he wants done. And finally, for the first time against West Virginia, it wasn't a 5 to 7 minute spurt of effort. It was the effort the entire game. And they're just not talented enough to show up in a gym and put up like 110 and beat a team. If they're going to win games, Bill, this year, it has to be exactly like that.
Yeah, it has to be everybody contributing, Spence. The other night, like Josh Hayes, not a big-time scorer, really a big-time player for them. Josh Hayes played a career high in minutes the other night. He plays 23 minutes. He only gets 3 points, but he gets 7 rebounds, and 5 of them are offensive rebounds. In a 1 or 2 possession game on the road, those are the type of things that make a difference. So whether we see that tomorrow against UCF or the rest of the way remains to be seen. But I hope Utah fans, Spence, because I know you're seeing it, I'm seeing it, Sean Mooney's seeing it, are seeing what Alex's vision is, are seeing what Alex wants to get done. Have the results been there this year? They haven't. And we know that, and he knows that too. But if that message is beginning to get through at this point in time, it's better late than never. And hopefully you can get that message through to whatever group of guys you decide to bring back for next year's group, and then it carries over. Because you know this, you can't preach your gospel and your philosophy to 12 new guys every year. You can flip the roster like they did this year, but you can't do it every single year. You've got to create a group of guys that are coming back. So if that group of guys gets it, that makes it easier to implement it next year with 6 or 7 or 8 new guys, whatever that number might be.
So the rest of the way, actually, no, let's just start with UCF, and then we'll go from there. And let me take this opportunity to remind everybody that UCF is here tomorrow at the Huntsman Center at 7 o'clock, and this team is coming off a really gritty win. If you're free tomorrow, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there are tickets available. So let's try to get some people there to support this team. But what should we know about UCF? In a way, they're right next to West Virginia in the standings. And again, this West Virginia team, I watched them beat your alma mater. They beat Kansas. That's not a bad team that Utah beat. So when it comes to, what they need to do against UCF, how do they keep this momentum going?
Well, they've got to guard, like you just said, like we talked about in that last bit, Spence, because it's a good offensive team. Johnny Dawkins, it's weird. When we were in the Pac-12 seeing games, Johnny was at Stanford. He's in his 10th year now at UCF, which is weird. I remember Johnny Dawkins playing at Duke.
For sure, yeah.
Left-hander. He played with your guy Quinn Snyder at Duke.
He did. He was good. He was a good player.
Johnny could play now. His team, this is a good team. They're right now, if you believe bracketology, they're one of the last teams in, but they're a tournament team right now. They're 18-7. They're 7-6 in the Big 12. And to your point, they beat Kansas at home. This is a good team. They beat Texas Tech at home. That was number 17 at the time, Kansas, number 11 at the time, Texas Tech. So they've got some good wins. They beat TCU the other night. It's a good team. They're full of a bunch of transfers, too. Johnny flipped just about his entire roster. Themis Folks, great assist, point guard, combo guard. Riley Kugel is kind of their shooter-scorer. Jermichael Stillwell, a double-double guy. And it seems like everybody in the Big 12, they've got a shot blocker. John Bowles, big 7-foot kid with a gigantic wingspan, leads the team in blocks. So this is a good team. They're not super deep, but they go about 7 deep, and they like transition. They like to get up and down the floor. So Utah's got to figure out a way to play defense to limit their transition, but it's going to be a test tomorrow. This is a good basketball team that's coming in.
So I do want to talk BYU in a moment, get your thoughts on what's happened there. But before we do, let's just continue to talk Utes for a minute, because the one team, I was wrong about BYU. I thought they'd be top 3. I completely underestimated Iowa State, and I've been unbelievably impressed when I've kind of dialed in on them. They had a great win against Houston. They beat Kansas and Houston back-to-back. That's eye test, top 5 team in the country. They're ranked 6, of course. So, of course, that's going to be a tough one no matter what. Iowa State, they've got adults, as I like to say, but at Arizona State, Colorado at home, Baylor on the road to finish. 3 winnable games. So your thoughts on the Final 5. At the end of this season, the Final 5 games, success for these Utes, in your opinion, Bill, looks like what?
What you just said, finding some more wins, Spence, because the teams that they're playing coming up are good teams. Iowa State's a great team. That team, TJ Otzelberger, from the moment he got there from UNLV, has done a fantastic job, and they're good. Arizona State, that's a winnable game. Colorado, that's a winnable game. And Baylor, I know it's a road game, and I know that, but Baylor's 3-10. If you can beat West Virginia at West Virginia, all of these games that you've got coming up on the road and such are winnable games. So I think if Utah can find a little momentum, now they're going to have to play with the same intensity and IQ they played with the other night at West Virginia, playing together too. If you can win, 3 of your next 5 down the stretch and head into Kansas City with a little bit of momentum, you're probably going to end up playing on that Tuesday. That's the early game, but maybe you win a game there. All of a sudden, Spence, it's not been the year you've wanted. But if you're the coaching staff and the players, you have finished with some positivity. And I know it's not leaps and bounds of what everybody hopes to be next year or the year after, but you're finding little victories right now. So I think if you could finish this stretch up, the UCF, Iowa State, Arizona State, Colorado, and Baylor stretch with 3 wins, then head to the tournament with a little momentum, I think that's a good way to finish this season up.
Rotationally, before we get over to some other things, I know that there's some injury issues, so maybe that's what's going on, but it appears that Al has kind of tightened it up a little bit, mostly a 7-man rotation. I mean, the Obamante Abbey kid is getting – he's got some work to do, this young man. But do you feel like Al's kind of landed on his rotation, or do you think it's going to change game by game?
Well, the only thing I could see that would really change it would be if Lucas Longarita – gets healthy and gets back in, because that kid, again, I know you saw him for, like we all did, for the 4 minutes and 42 seconds against BYU. He's a player. He can shoot it. He's a playmaker. He will make this team better. I don't know when or if he returns. They're being very cautious with him. Long play, obviously, you want to look ahead and protect the kid's game and future. But if they get him back in the next week or two, that would be the change to the rotation for me. Other than that, that's the guys you've seen play the last handful of games. That's the rotation Alex has got.
One more Ute thing, because we should mention this for listeners that didn't see it. Jonathan Gavoni sent out a tweet, and I had not seen him until the tweet, and then there's a bunch of YouTube highlights. His name is Finn Schott, Australian big man. He has committed to Utah. 6'10", 19 years old, played with Austria's senior team alongside Jakob Poeltl. Again, YouTube highlights are only YouTube highlights. He's an impressive kid. He's a big boy, too. Do you know anything about him?
I don't, Spence. I can't really speak to him because he hasn't – I don't think he's put the name to the line officially.
Okay.
Until he does, I've got to avoid that stuff.
Fair enough. Moving on. I referenced that I was wrong about BYU. Now, the Richie Saunders injury, it just sucks. I mean, he comes back as a senior to try to play his way into the first round. So this injury isn't just about BYU's season the rest of the way. It's what does Richie's pro career look like? But honestly, prior to that, and I've watched a lot of these games because I want to get to know AJ in case the Jazz are able to grab him. Here's where I've landed with this team. Even with Richie Saunders, I think the team a year ago was just a better team unit. The top end talent for BYU this year is better, but the team they had last year was just more cohesive. And honestly, I was flipping back and forth between, the Utah game and the BYU game. They were at McHale against Arizona, and Arizona's awesome. The feel that I get from this team is that every night is just a showcase for A.J. Debonsa to show everybody how good he is individually. They don't move the ball. It's ISO heavy. And if it's not A.J. or Rob Wright III, it stalls. And they don't have a ton of great size or depth, and they don't really guard all that well. Now, A.J.'s good enough, and Rob Wright's good enough to keep you, mid-table Big 12. I thought they'd be a top 3 Big 12 team and maybe go to the Elite 8 or something, and I was wrong. Give me your thoughts as far as what you've seen when you've watched them this year.
Well, they're Big 3. Now, obviously, it's a Big 2, but when they had their Big 3, they were elite. Debonsa, Wright, and Saunders were fantastic. I agree. I don't think that they're quite as deep. I don't think they have as much coming off the bench this year as they did a year ago. I think the Dawson Baker injury hurt them because Baker was going to be kind of that shooter off the bench. They don't really have that now. The Boscovich kid and the Kostic kid, they just don't give them a whole lot coming off the bench. I'm not sure that Kennard Davis has been quite what maybe they expected to be either. So it kind of leaves you that big. And then everybody else, the Kadeem Boop kid, he's young. He's not quite there. Tyler Maras, they brought in Abdullah Ahmed from the G League. He's giving you 1 point and about 2 rebounds a game. So it's not been a lot. So I think the injury to Baker certainly hurt, but I think there's some validity in what you say, Spence, about last year's team. They don't have the top-end talent. Yegor Demon was a really good player. He ain't A.J. Debonsa. They didn't have anybody the caliber of Rob Wright running the show either. Saunders was probably slightly better or about the same as he was a year ago, which is really good, but it's kind of the others. I think their cast of others was either better productive or a little bit deeper than what they've got this year.
Who is, as somebody who has had a front row seat to this, okay, so if the Utah Jazz luck into that number 1 overall pick as somebody who has seen Darren Peterson and has seen A.J. Debonsa, and it's different when you see him in person. It just is. It's one of the reasons I went down to Provo because, not really heading down there a ton these days. I wanted to see what A.J. looked like up close, but you've seen both of them. Who do you think is going to be a better pro out of the two?
Well, in person, I was much more impressed with Debonsa. He plays harder. He's more apparent in all aspects of the game. I only saw Peterson play at Kansas. He was good in spurts, but he fades in and out, Spence. And talking to some people at Kansas, that's kind of the knock on him. Well, they don't know, first of all, night to night if he's going to be in the lineup. And when he plays, he is impactful in spurts. The other night, what did he have? 20 in the first half? Mm-hmm. And then he goes away. Against BYU, he had, 18 in the first half and then didn't play in the second half? I mean, he knocks down the back-to-back threes to beat Texas Tech in Lubbock. He is phenomenal. He makes it look easy. He's got the ball in his hand. He's very good. My only question would be, if I'm an NBA personnel guy, is can I count on him? And maybe you drill a little bit deeper. I think what's gone on at Kansas this year has been a little mysterious. Everybody's trying to read between the lines on comments Bill Self makes. Peterson's talent is very apparent. But if I'm investing in number 1, and they're pretty close, they're different players, but they're pretty close talent-wise, I would probably lean toward Debonsa unless I got some great intel that Darren Peterson is going to be okay.
I wonder if the deal with Peterson, and quite frankly, Debonsa as well, like it seems to be a better approach to spread out your NIL resources to grab 7 or 8 really good players as opposed to go top end just to grab one. And look, it's case by case, but BYU no depth. Kansas, when Darren does, I mean, Kansas has got plenty of good players, but Darren's their best player. I wonder if these dynamics are going to change the way that, the Wes Wilcoxes of the world go about roster construction.
I was talking to a coach the other day, and he said if you want to be a big-time program, you can probably afford to really pay 6 guys. Now maybe if you spread it around a little bit more, to your point, maybe you can get to 8. But you can't pay 12 guys. Not many people operate in that realm. So you just have to figure out what your allotment is and how you want to spend it. Because, if you go big with a superstar player, that's great. But if there's injuries to others or to that player, what do you do? And it's really interesting to see the makeup of some of these teams. The team you were talking about coming in, Houston, they don't overpay big. I mean, Kelvin's got an amount of, you heard him crying kind of poor to the media a couple of weeks ago, but they have money, but they don't have ultra deep pocket money. So he kind of leaves it on himself and his people and his coaching staff to spread the money they have around. And Houston goes about 7 or 8 deep, and they're really good.
You know what? Well, there are a lot of things I love about Al, not just as a coach, but just as a person. He doesn't bitch and moan about being economically, disadvantaged. Like, I get so tired of all of these coaches, and I understand why. But even Witt, like every time he would be asked about it, he goes on this diatribe about if you don't have NIL, you don't have anything. Al just puts his head down and just goes to work with what he has. It's kind of refreshing.
Well, you work behind you. You know what your money is, you know what your pot is, you know what your resources are. Now go make it work. I mean, that's the job, right?
Yeah.
No matter what it is, whether you have 10 million, 15 million, or 7 million, that's your amount of money. Now go make it work. And that's what the job is, because nobody's feeling sorry for you. They just want results. And so go about it and take care of your business.
Who do you think wins the league? Who's the best team? Because as I referenced, I picked Houston to win the league. They still might. Arizona, if they get Koa Pete back, is really good. Completely underestimated Iowa State. Your Jayhawks have to be included if Peterson decides he wants to be serious. Then there's Tech, BYU. That's right now your top 6 or 7 teams. Who do you think wins the league?
It's not going to be Tech. They've got 4 losses and they lose JT Toppin. They don't have an inside presence. It's not going to be BYU now. They've got 6 losses, and losing Richie hurts them. I think it's one of 2 teams that win the league. And maybe I'll look silly, and Kansas or Iowa State will make me look silly. I think it's Houston or Arizona, and I think they play tomorrow, don't they?
They do.
Yeah, I think that's the game for the regular season title. Kansas City could be crazy because both Kansas and Iowa State have a huge home court advantage there. I'm going to still lean, assuming Koa Pete's not out, and I haven't heard if he's playing tomorrow. I don't think the injury was super bad. I like their overall talent a little bit better. I like their mix of transfers and freshmen and experienced players. So I give a slight edge to Houston. To Arizona. I think they score it a little bit better, and they can throw it inside to score with Krivas. But if Houston won it, it wouldn't surprise me at all, because their guard line of what's his name, Kingston.
Parker Kingston. Excuse me, no.
Parker Kingston.
I was going to ask you about that.
No. Kingston
Flemings. Yeah, Kingston Flemings.
Sharp and Uzan are really, really good. But so is Arizona's line, too. Slight edge to Arizona. Watch Iowa State win the whole thing and make me look silly.
They're good, man. I was wrong about them. The Tribune has started to get some details about, and first of all, I'm thrilled that they're going to renovate the Huntsman Center instead of building a new building. There's just so much history there. But look, it just for years and years and years, it's badly needed a facelift. And we're hearing they're going to shrink it down to like 9,000, 10,000 fans. I don't love that, because I do think Al's going to get this thing on track. And then are we going to be complaining that there aren't enough seats? But the plans that the Trib has, at least as of now, they look pretty cool. I mean, can you share any information with us?
I haven't seen a lot of the stuff that's not gone media-wise. I do know that they're excited about putting a real facelift on the Huntsman Center. And Spence, if they shrink it down to 10,000, that's not the worst thing in the world. Baylor, who won a national championship, 4 years ago?
Yep.
They built a brand new arena that opened up 2 years ago. It seats 7,500. The Houston Cougars, who have been to the Final Four twice in the last couple of years, almost won it last year, their new on-campus arena, which opened up 7-8 years ago, it seats about 10,000. So I think creating smaller, I think the real key, kind of like what they did with Rice Eccles a couple of years ago, is adding some premium, adding some bells and whistles for people to be able to enjoy some hospitality. And I think that's going to be a big part of the plans and what they do as well. Hey, the Huntsman's been a great building. I'm frankly really excited that they're going to keep some of the history of that building because there's so much there. But it badly needs a facelift and a little bit of a renovation. So if they can do some nice things on the hospitality side especially, I think it's great.
Only because football has so many people interested year-round for our football addicts out there. What kind of this time of year is going on up there in the building, and you seeing the coaches and players at all?
I was actually over there taping my podcast today, The Crimson Corner, which drops this afternoon. I didn't see any of the coaches, but I saw a bunch of the players. Off-season conditioning is going on right now. I just know that the buzz has been great over there, and everybody's really excited about the spring and getting things underway. I don't have an exact date as to when spring football is beginning yet, but my best guess is probably sometime middle of March, and wrapping it up, taking it all the way through. But there's a real buzz and excitement up there, and it's going to be fun to see what Morgan does in year one.
How's my guy Johnny Bryant, and where can everybody go get that pod?
Well, Johnny is doing great. He was my guest on last week's Crimson Corner podcast. He's the associate head coach for Kenny Atkinson in Cleveland. I talked to Johnny right after they acquired James Harden, and they're excited about things. He and Donovan are still tight as tight can be. They're actually neighbors in the offseason back in Connecticut. And then today, our guest is Brian Johnson. Same era, different sport. Passing game coordinator, Washington Commanders, Brian Johnson, former ESPN 700 intern, Brian Johnson. You can find the Crimson Corner wherever you get your podcast. Go to Apple, iTunes, Spotify, all those great places. I had a great conversation with Brian today talking about his career, moving to pro football, coaching some great quarterbacks, and he also gave his thoughts, too, on Scally and putting the staff together and his relationship with Morgan, too.
Was he offered the offensive coordinator job?
Did not ask him that, but my guess is no, because he loves the NFL. And I think eventually, Brian Johnson's going to be a head coach in the National Football League.
Agreed. Good stuff, Riles. Have a good weekend, buddy. Thanks for the time, okay?
Thanks, Spence. Talk to you soon.
Tomorrow, the Runnin' Utes look to build on their win against West Virginia, and they welcome in UCF. Johnny Dawkins and his team, they can really fill it up. 7 o'clock in the Huntsman Center, so let's get as many fans there as possible. BYU looks to get back on track coming up this weekend as well. Iowa State tomorrow, 8:30, ESPN. That's going to be a tough one. All right, we'll catch a break. Coming up next, Howard Beck, NBA Daily Assist. Keep it here, ESPN 700. We learned about them last week, but Howard introduces us to all the hippest music around. Happy Friday, Howard Beck. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Spence. How are you?
What's the name of this band? Antarctigo something?
Vespucci.
Oh, there we go. See, it sounds cool when you say it. I feel like I would sound pretentious saying it. How was the show, by the way?
Incredible, phenomenal. Absolutely loved it. Had never seen them live before. They hadn't toured actually in many, many years, and it was an incredible show. Great energy. The whole crowd was just bouncing the whole time.
Did you say they hadn't toured in many years? So this is not a new hipster band. This is an old school Howard Beck hipster band.
I think they've been around for about 10-something plus years. Yeah, got a couple albums, but they don't tour a lot, and I think it was their first time touring in like 8 or 9 years.
How do you find all this music? Because I will give you credit. The bands that I feel like you're making up, I go look up, and they're all really good. How do you find this stuff?
I mean, variety of ways, but in this case, it's because the drummer for Antarctigo Vespucci is Benny Horowitz, who's also the drummer for the Gaslight Anthem, and Benny and I are friends via social media and then in real life, and this is, I would not have known about this band if not for him telling me this is another band I tour with.
Are you saying that you have Gaslight Anthem hookups?
Occasionally, possibly, maybe.
Oh,
yes.
don't you walk back on me now, Howard. You and I are about to become best friends if this is the deal.
Yeah, I've hung out a few times.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they're awesome. All right, anyway, Howard, I don't know if you've heard, the Utah Jazz have been in the news since you and I last spoke.
Yes.
$500K, okay? So my listeners at this point are probably sick of hearing my take. I'll just kind of bottom line it, give you the space. They deserve it. Absolutely they do, but so do 6 or 7 other teams, if not 8 or 9. Why do you think the league came down so hard on the Jazz?
Several reasons. And I understand that Jazz fans, I think Pacer fans to a lesser extent, but also they're feeling a little bit of this too, that these are markets and teams that are feeling kind of picked on in an era where it feels like everybody's tanking, or, a third of the league is tanking, and this is a pretty egregious season of tanking. Why this team, it's a kind of a why us. I think that reaction, while I sort of get it, is a little bit too provincial. And so I'm going to test your listeners on this one if they are feeling that. What the Jazz did by pulling the plug in a game that they'd been winning by 17 points and pulling their best players in a fourth quarter, like, that is as blatant, as brazen possibly gets. Now, are they the first team to tank? No. Are they the first team to manipulate lineups in the middle of a game? No. But my God, folks, do it a little bit more subtly. And then, this is not on Will Hardy at all. He's doing what he is being told to do. But when a question comes in the press conference where you're going to put them back in and he says no, and there's no elaboration, like it gives away the whole plot. Like, you have to at least disguise this a little bit. And the reason that teams do not get routinely fined year after year in these situations is that they're not following this exact fact pattern, which is being up in a game, pulling the plug to make sure you don't win in the fourth quarter, and having no good explanation for it. The Jazz knew what they were doing. So let's just get to this. The Jazz knew exactly what they were doing as an organization. They knew what the risks were, and they have no leg to stand on. They can't they can be mad at as all they want at Adam Silver or Bobby Marks or wherever else they want to direct their ire. They have no leg to stand on, and they know this. And what they did in that particular game, I had never seen before. Like, again, there have been various versions of this over the years. I have not seen that before. Nobody around the league had. Everybody was talking about it. I spoke to multiple people in front offices, former front office people in the wake of it. And it was like, no, this is about as brazen as it gets. And it happened just days before Adam Silver was going to be at All-Star Weekend, where he has to do an annual press conference where he knew the media was probably going to grill him about tanking and about that game in particular. So he had to do something. And then last piece of this, if you're a fan of the Jazz or the Pacers or any team that's done this and gotten fined and you're mad about it, ask yourself why you're mad. Because it didn't hurt your team. Your billionaire owner had to fork over, a cup of coffee by his standards. I don't understand the anger. It's not your money. It doesn't matter.
No notes. Well said. It hasn't made me popular out here, but I completely agree. Again, my beef is just like, if you're going to punish the Jazz, then I think there's some other teams you should look at. But let's stay in this space before we get on to some other teams. I wonder what you made of, and we had Bobby on the show this week. We had a lovely 30-minute conversation where I was trying to calm the waters a little bit because he's just the nicest guy in the world. He's become a good friend. He's a good resource. You know, I hated to see him get attacked online, but the internet is where cowards go to feel brave. Ryan Smith taking to social media to voice his objections. You know, look, I came up in this league when it was run by David Stern. If Stern was the commissioner, he's on the phone 5 minutes later, and Ryan's getting fined again. I don't know what the conversations were behind closed doors. I understand being frustrated, but that's a pretty slippery slope when it comes to a statement that Pat Riley made a long, long time ago that I've never forgotten. The NBA is the corporation, and we are their entities, and we just have to fall in line and be good partners, and that includes owners. What did you make of Ryan's decision to go on social?
I will never, as a journalist who covers the NBA, tell owners or anybody else that they shouldn't talk.
Sure.
I would love for them to speak more often. Frankly.
Agreed.
And transparency is good. And if that's his view, that's fine. I disagree strongly, clearly. But I'm glad he says it. I'm glad he stands behind it. Again, I don't think he has a leg to stand on in any of this. Not in his argument with Bobby, not in his argument with the league. What they did was as brazen, as blatant as it gets. They asked for this. They got it. He'll be fine. He can afford it. And it's not going to affect how the Jazz are build. It's not going to affect their draft position. They didn't lose picks. They still this doesn't affect their salary cap. So why does it even really matter? But I'm glad he expressed himself. You're right. I think back in the day, David Stern in the similar situation would have been on the phone within minutes telling them to pipe down and get in line, and maybe there would have been another fine, an offline, non-public fine. That's not Adam's way. We're in a different time, and while you and I both have been around long enough to be tempted often to draw the comparisons and contrasts between Adam and David, I always have to remind myself it's a different time. It's a different league. The owners that Adam reports to, who hire and have the power to fire him, are not the same as the ones that David Stern reported to, both literally and also figuratively. Back then it was mom and pop shops, and now they're all billionaires, and they have a lot more power. And, David could kind of push people around, bully people. It's not Adam's personality, but I also don't think he has the standing given the wealth of these owners.
You referenced Will Hardy, and I don't know Will. Met him a few times. Seems like a nice enough guy. Has a good reputation both locally and nationally as a bright young coach. And we had Richard Smith in studio this week, who spent 40 years with the Jazz. And I asked him, because Will clearly is in on this. I mean, he's clearly in on it. Whether or not he likes it, I think, is something I'd love to just ask him, individually for an honest take on this. But I asked Smitty what Jerry Sloan would have said if Scott Layden or Kevin O'Connor walked into his office and said, hey, we're going to develop young players, or John and Carl are going to sit out because there's a really good freshman at BYU who we want. And Smitty's description of Jerry's lack of being receptive to that message was hilarious, because Jerry just believed we're going to do our best with what we have every night. We're going to go try to win every game. But how do you think this, and I'm asking you to guess, and I know you don't love that, so take it wherever you, I'm just curious how this is going behind closed doors for the Jazz, whether it's Ryan to Danny Ainge to Austin Ainge, and then Austin Ainge to Will Hardy, because Will's in on this, and I just wonder how he feels about it. His record is 103 and 199, and these guys are judged on their win-loss record. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, coaches know what they're signing up for, and they understand that they, are beholden to their front offices and to the team owners, and they have to kind of just, go along with whatever the agenda is. And if they don't like it, they can quit, right? And when you join a rebuilding team, you know that it's a rebuilding team. And if you join a team that's going to be trading its stars, and you've been given the heads up, perhaps, they usually know what they're getting into. Sometimes there's a course change in the midst of it all, and it's like, maybe this is not what I signed up for. But we all have bosses, some of us more than others. And If you and I could probably do the same amount of mind reading here and probably conclude that he's not thrilled with any of this.
Yeah.
It sucks. But we know what the agenda is. We know what the hope is. And if they end up with A.J. Dubasa or Peterson or Boozer or whomever, and it makes them that much better next season, and they can finally turn the corner on this thing, like clearly this is their last season of tanking anyway. They need to protect that top 8 protected pick. They need to keep that. And beyond that, they can start actually focusing on winning. And so there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And, again, you and I are just mind reading, but I would guess that Will Hardy and anybody else, they're focusing on that. Like we're close to the end of this thing. We'll take a few lumps, a few more losses, a few more fines, and then we'll get out of this thing and start trying to win again.
Before we move off from the Jazz, Howard, I will say this. It was only 49 minutes with Jaren Jackson Jr. and Lauri Markkanen on the floor together. But those 49 minutes look really, really good. And, knee surgery, he's shut down. So, there's that. The injury stuff is always tricky because if you need knee surgery, you need knee surgery. Now, I would offer the question, if you're about to win 60 games and win a championship, do you wait until the offseason? But anyway, if you were able to check it out at all when Jaren Jackson Jr. and Lauri were on the floor together, like I said, it looked really, really good. I wonder what you think it looks like when they're actually serious next year. Yeah,
I watched only a limited amount of their limited amount. But, I like the deal for the Jazz in the abstract and probably the actuality. I am curious about, and a lot of us have been batting this around ever since the trade. Like, what is the viability of a Markkanen, Jackson, Kessler front court, right? Like how functional, how seamless is that? Lauri Markkanen obviously has a skill set offensively of a small forward, but is he truly small forward? And when you get to the defensive side of the floor, do you have enough defense? You obviously plenty of defense behind you then, but is that compromised? Is that the best fitting lineup? On the other hand, you can start games that way, you can finish games that way, and over the course of a 48-minute game, you can mix and match and have any two of them out there at any given time, and they'll fit together just fine. So you don't have to get rid of one of them. But I do wonder if there's a Walker Kessler kind of hedge here, right, as he goes into free agency, or is the plan for all three of them to play together for the foreseeable future? Maybe that's the case, and maybe it works just fine. I'm not trying to cast doubt on it. I'm just curious about it because I think ideally Lauri Markkanen's best position is power forward, and next to Kessler or next to Jaren Jackson Jr. Either of those fit fine. All three of them together, maybe it's just this awesome jumbo front court where nobody can really do anything with them. We'll see.
All right, one more tanking question, and then please God, let's move on from it. Okay, and here's the question, because I continue to repeat, the Jazz deserve what they got, but if the Jazz are going to get that, other teams need to be looked at as well, namely Washington. And I point you to Section D of the NBA's very own player participation policy, which is available online on their website, which says shutdowns. Teams must refrain from any long-term shutdown or near shutdown whereby a star player ceases participating in games or begins to play a materially reduced role in circumstances affecting the integrity of the game. At least the Jazz played Jaren Jackson Jr. We're not going to see Anthony Davis or Trae Young all year, Howard.
Well, they were both hurt before they got them, so let's be clear on that. I guarantee you two things, and I'm sorry I have to laugh at this, but I am laughing at this. I guarantee you, one, the folks who are in charge of compliance at the NBA, at Olympic Tower in Midtown Manhattan, are on the phone all the time with any of the teams who are doing any of this, including the Wizards, with regard to Anthony Davis and Trae Young. I guarantee you they're asking for medical records. I guarantee you they are asking for updates, if not weekly, then daily, or somewhere along the way. I guarantee you there's not some double standard where they think it's okay for Washington but not for Utah. And I don't understand why in this whole victim complex thing where the Jazz are just being picked on, why would the league choose them? Like, where is the logic in any of this? what the Jazz did was different. The guys were healthy and playing, and then they pulled them out of the lineup so that they could lose the game. It's different. It's just different. It's more blatant. Yes, all tanking is bad, but there are various versions of it, and some are more embarrassing for the league than others, and some are more harmful than others to the integrity of the game. And the one where you actually pull guys off the floor in the middle of a winnable game is probably the worst version of it.
So you wrote recently, and it was really good. Let's move away from tanking, but stay in the space of the NBA has issues. The Clippers stuff, I don't know that it's talked about enough. I mean, as you wrote about, secretly funneling tens of millions of dollars to a player and his family members, circumventing the cap. What's the update there? And then attendant to it, based off your piece, what are some of the other problems that you think this league is facing right now?
Yeah, so the piece was broadly about the fact that while there's always been scandals, not always, not every year, but like we've had, a gambling scandal involving a referee, back in the 2000s with Tim Donaghy, right? We have a gambling scandal now. We've had cap circumvention type issues. Joe Smith back in the day with the Minnesota Timberwolves. We have this aspiration Kawhi case with the Clippers now. What we have not had is both of those things and like 50 other issues going on, including tanking, which is obviously front and center right now, including labor, by the way, because the NBA controls the WNBA, and there's a massive standoff there that's threatening the WNBA season. And all kinds of, you mentioned the player participation policy. Guys don't play anymore. We're going to get to April, and there's going to be half the teams that are resting guys for the playoffs and half that are resting guys because they don't want to play them because they're still angling for lottery position. We have load management, which could be justified by sports science and the medical people, but does not go over well with the fans. There's just so many things going on in Adam Silver's NBA right now, and there's just never been a time where there has been this many crises, scandals, just major issues to deal with. And it's a lot to fix. And I'm not casting doubt on Adam Silver and his staff's ability to do that. But he and his lieutenants at headquarters in Manhattan and as all of the owners, the competition committee, all of them, they have a lot to figure out. And some of it's out of their hands, right? We don't know where this gambling case is going that the federal government announced back in October with the arrests. We don't know right now where this is going with the Clipper investigation on the cap circumvention, although I suspect we'll be getting, a conclusion to that sometime soon, right? There's a law firm that's been independently investigating. There have been rumblings around the league that they have found smoking guns, that the league is going to hit them hard, but that's the grapevine. That's not fact right now. So we'll see where that goes. But there's a lot going on.
Is Adam Silver good at this?
It's a fair question, and I don't really know how to answer it. I mean, I think that Adam is very good at the most important parts of the job. The first and most important part of the job, cynically speaking, is to keep making money for everybody involved. And league revenues are now like around $14 billion. They just crossed the $10 billion threshold for the first time like 4 years ago. So, yeah, I think the league's doing really well. They're talking about expansion domestically. They're talking about launching this European league. The growth is great. The TV deal is great. Ratings, attendance, everything is fine. It's just that there's all these other nagging issues going on, and the state of the game itself, I think, is probably in a little bit of a delicate position. So, we could go back and say, well, David would have done it this way. David Stern would have done it this way. It's not that easy, and this is kind of like steering the massive cruise ship, right? Where you like this thing is just humming along, and trying to get 30 owners and or other partners on board to try to change things, to fix things. It's not that easy, and I think Adam is great at. He's a great diplomat at working with the 30 owners, at working with the players. We've had labor peace on his watch. But solving these major issues, perhaps sometimes they have not been bold enough.
Last thing, and I'll set you loose. I'm going to go out on a limb and say you're not a huge fan of All-Star Weekend and maybe even don't care. Is that fair?
Yeah, depending on the year. I always remain hopeful, and I still go. I mean, I was there.
Oh, okay. Well, then you were there for media availability, obviously. And look, it's just become clear that the league is really leaning into the fact that they are being very intentional to try to make their product very consumable for very young people. And that's fine. Okay, I get it, because we're all getting older, and then this is how it works, I think, as far as life goes. The younger generation enters the workplace, starts to make money, and they're going to consume your product. But Devin Booker, when interviewed, at least what I heard, wasn't asked about the three-point contest. He wasn't asked about the game. He was asked about his aura and aura farming by influencers who had credentials. Now, look, again, at the risk of being the old guy that's yelling, what the hell is going on here? Let me yell, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know what my response is going to be as a member of the actual media. I don't need to see – here's the thing. I go to All-Star Weekend for other reasons. I do not go to I do not attend any of the availabilities anymore. I usually go to Adam Silver's press conference, although I missed it this year. I don't go to the player availabilities for a variety of reasons. We don't need to go down that road. The fact that they're now overrun with influencers that the league is inviting in because they think this is I feel like the NBA sometimes, Spence, is the Steve Buscemi meme with the backwards hat and the skateboard over their shoulder. Like, that's
perfect.
I mean, that's where we are. They are trying so hard to be hip and cool. And look, we've got influencers. And like last year, remember, like everybody killed the All-Star game last year when they first went to the tournament format. And I kept trying to tell people, I probably even said on your show, I think the tournament actually worked if it weren't interrupted by some combination of Kevin Hart, Mr. Beast, speaking of influencers, and then, of course, the Inside the NBA, self-congratulatory, 25-minute commercial.
Yeah.
Like there was just too much other BS going on, and it screwed up the momentum they had with that format. It was pretty much the same format this year other than throwing in the U.S. versus the world element, and it worked much better because we didn't have a bunch of interruptions from a bunch of nonsense.
No, well said. All right, buddy. Well, I'm sad that you hate Utah, but I appreciate your time today. And look, you're not wrong. I want to be clear. So good stuff. Have a good weekend, okay?
Appreciate it, Spence. We'll talk soon.
Our buddy Howard Beck, one of the hippest NBA writers around, not a fan of Utah Jazz fans, belly aching about the punishment. He made that abundantly clear and wouldn't even entertain the potential of other teams getting fined. I was surprised that Howard was that adamant. But anyway, all right, last night, had to make some dinner, grilled up a Wasatch Wagyu New York strip steak. And yes, Porter, I cooked it, okay? I didn't eat it raw. I cooked it because that's what normal people do.
How long did you keep it on there, though? Did you
3 minutes each side?
Pan sear? What'd you go with?
The cast iron. Come on.
Okay.
And I flip it every minute. 3 minutes each side. That's the way to do it, man. I'm telling you. Cast iron and then flip it every minute.
Definitely the cast iron.
Yep.
I like it. I like it.
Yep.
That Wagyu's good, too.
Little butter. So good. All right. So Wasatch Wagyu is a new partner on the show. Their New York strip steaks are awesome, but they have tomahawks. They have fillets. They've got bratwurst and then burger beef as well. But Porter and I both use their beef jerky like all the time because they hook us up, and they're hooking you up, okay? Wasatch Wagyu. It's our friends Greg and Stacy Gillen. They're putting it out there for you guys to try their beef, and I promise you, you will not be let down. Wagyu beef raised right here in Utah up in Heber, okay? 100% Wagyu beef, bottom line. They're giving you 25% off. Started out the deal 10% off, but they've upped the ante. Now tons of flavors, no added chemicals. Just clean, high-protein fuel that actually tastes amazing. It's good for you. So 25% off your first order. Go to wasatchwagyu.com. Use the promo code ESPN25. Promo code ESPN25 on wasatchwagyu.com. Highly recommend the New York strip steaks. And if you're in Utah County or Salt Lake County, check this out. You now get free delivery on all meat and jerky straight to your door. That's an extra $75 you're saving by not shipping. Better beef, better fuel, better results. Upgrade your grill game for 2026 by using the promo code ESPN25 with our friends at wasatchwagyu.com. All right, coming up next, I had a really cool experience this morning out in Centerville. That's right. I had a cool experience in Centerville. Don't judge me. At T-Box, I went through a golf club fitting. I had never done that before with my new friend Jordan Bloxham. So Paul Pugmire was there. Paul mic'd this up. We're going to release it via podcast if you've ever been curious about what that's like. And obviously the PGA Tour, Genesis Invitational. So we'll do a little golf coming up with Paul. And then Sean Mooney is going to join us live in the studio for the 4 o'clock hour of the program, Friday Drive. Good to have you along for the ride right here on ESPN 700. Looks like the U.S. men's hockey team, they're going to get it done, barring something that has never happened before. It is 6-2 with 1 minute left. Slovakia put a couple of goals on the board to make it somewhat respectable, but we're going to have the U.S.-Canada for the gold medal on Sunday night. That's going to be must-watch television. Must-listen-to radio is Paul Pugmire on a Friday. Hello, Paul. How are you, sir?
Doing good, Spencer. How are you?
I'm good. My cup is full, as you know. So let's start there. I had a really cool opportunity this morning up at T-Box with my new friend Jordan Bloxham to go through a club fitting process, and you were good enough to join us up there and mic'd up, and we're gonna have a little podcast come out. What do you want our listeners to know about what we did this morning?
Well, I want to. We got Spencer fit, and we went through the whole process, and the process itself is so interesting and sometimes a little bit of a black box for people, and that's really the reason why we want to do this podcast. I'm actually working on editing it right now, Spencer, and we'll have it out this afternoon. And it will allow people to hear the whole process, the whole discussion that you and Jordan went through. I'm interested in your take on it now. You've had a couple hours to digest it. What did you think of it all?
Well, I mean, the more and more I get to know about the process and just how to try to get a little bit better about, the game of golf, the more and more I realize that I have so much more to learn because I think, and I'll just speak for myself, you just kind of, when you first start, you're like, all right, there's a little white ball. This is a stick. I'm going to hit that ball with this stick, and we're going to have a good time. And then as you start to play with better players, and as you start to get some coaching and lessons and upgrade your equipment, you realize, just how intricate and difficult swinging a golf club correctly is and how many things are involved. And then you lean into just simply the equipment and how much it can help your game. But, I've hit on simulators before, but typically I'll, go somewhere, hit on a simulator and look at, okay, how far did I hit it? How far did I carry it? How far was the total distance? But there are so many things involved. We were looking at launch angle and spin rate, and then ultimately just trying to land on consistency. And I think we hit 6 or 7 different sets of irons and landed on the one that just simply was the most consistent, not the one that I hit the furthest, or not the one where my ball speed was the highest, the one that just over the course of 9 or 10 shots was the most consistent with all of those measurements. It's just really fascinating,
Yeah, it is. It is really interesting, and the consistency gives you predictability. And when you are hitting a ball from a fairway into a green, you want to hit it the distance that shot is asking you to hit it. And so the predictability matters so much more than total distance. And so the things you're landing on are really key. Plus, one of the things I heard you guys talking about, and it will come out in the podcast, was the descent angle, which is a vitally, vitally important measurement when you're on a simulator and you're getting the specific numbers, or just with your own eye when you're out there and you're saying, okay, this thing is falling into the ground, into the target, into the green deeper. At a steeper angle. And that matters because of your ability to control the distance. And that's what the great players do. They control the ball. They control the distance. They control the spin, which is a lot of times beyond me, but that's where the great players live. And everything you're saying is so true. And I one thing I do want to add to what you're saying is, yes, it is everything about swinging the club and hitting the shot is hard and intricate and detailed. But to see that and raise it a level when you are playing golf rather than playing swing, when you are playing golf rather than playing shot, that's when the game really gets fun, interesting, and gets to its higher level. And I think that's ultimately where you're going to be, Spencer, because to do that, to play golf rather than play swing or play shot, you've got to be athletic. And if there's one thing I want everybody out there to hear, on this show, you're talking about athletes all the time. And that applies in golf as well. And being athletic really, really carries the day. And I think we saw some of that with you today.
Well, that's kind of you to say, and it was nice of Jordan to bring that up as well. And it's funny because I've had people like throughout the course of just getting into this game and starting to really love it and become fascinated with it. The better players who I play with, and you've said this too. You've always said to me like you're an athlete, like just be athletic and swing the club like an athlete. And in my mind, I'm just like, well, I want to swing the club like a golfer, not just an athlete. You know what I mean? So it kind of came together today as to why you, like my uncle, a couple of friends of mine, they always say to me, like, if I'm struggling and I'm overthinking, I did not break any clubs this year, Paul, so give me a little credit there. But now I didn't say I didn't throw any. I said I didn't break any. So when I'm starting to like melt down because this game is so frustrating, I have a lot of people in my life just say that, like, you're an athlete, swing the club like an athlete. You know, it kind of came together today.
Yeah, be target oriented. Think about the target, not how do I swing the club. And you and I have talked about this before on air and off air, and we talked about it this morning. I love going back to Reggie Miller. I think he is a wonderful example of what we're talking about. Reggie, member of the Hall of Fame, one of the greatest shooters of the basketball ever. Who doesn't love watching Reggie Miller play basketball? And yet, would you ever teach your child to shoot the ball like Reggie Miller?
No, absolutely not. No, I mean, you want your child to shoot the ball like Devin Booker or like Ray Allen.
Pretty.
That's what a jumper looks like. Reggie, his follow through was inconsistent. He shot it with two hands, but again, you're not going to tell Reggie Miller to change his jump shot. You know,
no, you never would.
Right, and like golf swings are like
Reggie
fingerprints, right?
Exactly. There is a DNA to your swing. Your body already knows how it wants to move and how it can move in some cases. And so know that, respect that, understand it, discover it, and that's the bigger part. And in the discovery, a basketball player like Reggie Miller will learn to release the shot and do what he needs to do to get the ball at the target. When you watch Reggie, it's very, very clear. He is focused 100% on that target, and he's not thinking about where his hands are or where his elbows are pointing or anything like that. He is focused on the target. And the great players do the very same thing. And you can look at quirky golf swings throughout the history of the game. Swings like Lee Trevino come to mind. Swings like Jim Furyk come to mind. Most recently, among the younger guys, a swing like Matthew Wolff comes to mind. Odd motions that do get back to a very strong impact position. Yes, they do share characteristics there, but the motions are very different, very dissimilar. And not the kind of thing you would say. You wouldn't say have your body move like say Jim Furyk's, or you wouldn't say have the club path go like Matthew Wolff. But they are very focused on the target. They use their athleticism, and they get the ball to go to the target, and they end up being like Reggie Miller shooting a basketball, and it all works. And that's what we're talking about when we say be athletic. Use your body and your emotions and get the ball to the target.
And just swing your swing, right, and play your game. Like, you know, because I remember before I even knew who Scotty Scheffler was, I saw him swing a club. I'm like, what is it? What are you doing with your feet? And, like, Scotty's coach was interviewed, and I think the interviewer was like, hey, why didn't you change? He's like, why didn't I change what? It's Scotty Scheffler. You don't change anything. And you know who else swings that way is Steele DeWalt, who I played with at our
great example.
It's wild how those guys do that with their feet, because you're kind of taught that you don't necessarily want to be that loud with your feet, I think.
Oh, totally. Because you know it isn't the kind of thing you would teach, but if it's the kind of thing that a person's natural motions will still get them to a good impact position, still let them stay in balance. And look, everybody I've mentioned stays in balance, and you talk about Steele DeWald, one of the great players in Utah amateur golf. He stays in balance with a very athletic, very unorthodox move that is very powerful. And it's powerful because he's a strong, athletic guy, and he harnesses his athleticism and he hits the ball to the target. But I played golf with Steele several times, and I've watched him several times, and I talked to him a lot. I know him well. And when he's out playing golf, he's not thinking about his move. He's thinking about his target. and he's putting his ball to the target, and he uses his natural athleticism to get the ball to go to the target. And that's when you're playing golf rather than playing swing or playing shot.
And such a good dude. It's been fun to get to know him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the greatest guy. It was so funny playing with him. First of all, I feel like Easton always puts me with the best player, and I get mad at him for it. I never want him to pair me with the best players. But we're up there on that course, and there are a lot of short par fours on the course, but not short enough for me to like consider. And Steele would be like, hey, what do we got, like 360, 350? I'm like, yeah, I'll probably just, lay up. And he would drive those greens without even thinking twice about it, And it's fascinating to watch that level of golf up close.
Yeah, it's great fun. And I love watching Steele play. And you're right, just such a good guy. Nobody better in the Utah game.
All right. Another thing I found interesting, and this kind of brings us back around to the fitting process. The last set of irons that Jordan had me hit, I was carrying the ball about 10 to 12 yards further than the prior 5. And so, again, in my brain, I think we're all just wired to believe we just need distance. We need to hit further. We need better club speed and ball speed. But those weren't the ones that we landed on. Because what's an extra 10 yards if you're spraying it, right? Like the ones we landed on were the clubs that I hit about 7 yards fewer than the carry that I had with the final irons, because all 9 or 10 of those balls were within about 9 or 10 yards of each other in the fairway. I found that really interesting.
Yeah, the grouping you had there was spot on, and you guys made the right choice from what I saw. And again, golf is a target game. And distance does matter in two ways. It matters with the driver, but you guys were fitting irons today. And then it matters in the iron game. It matters because you do have more control over the ultimate outcome of a shot when you have a steeper descent angle when you're hitting a shorter iron into a green. And so if, for example, there's a 2 or a 3 club difference, then that's something that you want to start really paying attention to. But a difference of, call it 7 yards between each club, distance is not a dominating factor then in your analysis. You want to look at the descent angle. You want to look at the spin rate. You want to look at the consistency and the grouping that you had. And your grouping was really good. And your descent angle, your spin rates were really good, and that's why Jordan said, "Okay, we're done here. We've got a result that works," and that's one of the elements of a fitting. There's a little bit of trial and error, if you want to call it that. Now, it is very highly informed trial because of all of the data that you're getting on a launch monitor. But when you find what works, you're done. I mean, when you've lost your keys and you find them, you don't keep looking. So it's one of those things. I could just see it was very apparent today. Jordan Bloxham, who is highly experienced, highly skilled at doing this, he knew when he saw what was working, he said, bang, we're done.
So when it comes to these terms, okay, and again, I'm just speaking for myself. If we have, if we have people listening right now that are really good at golf and have gone through this before, they know smash factor, ball speed, launch angle, attack angle, all of the terms, because again, historically speaking, club path, face angle, spin rate, carry distance, total distance, all of the things, again, I'll just speak for myself. If I've ever been on a simulator in the past, I hit it and I look how far I hit it, and that's it. So when it comes to these other terms, pick out, 3 or 4 that people really should know about as it pertains to how they can improve their game.
Okay. Well, let's go to one you just mentioned, smash factor. Smash factor is a calculated measurement of how effectively, how efficiently you're making contact with the ball. And it is most relevant on a driver, and mathematically the highest number you can get is 1.50. And that indicates that the effectiveness of your strike, basically when you get above 1.45, you're hitting the center of the club. And when you get from 1.48 to 4.9 and 5.0, you're hitting the little pinpoint center of the club. And that really matters for consistency's sake and for effectiveness in your shot. And so that is a really important number to know. The spin rates matter. They're different for each club. It gets a little complicated, but there are plenty of graphs and tables that can have all those numbers, those target numbers in front of you. Those are important to know. On the irons, the carry distance is the number that matters. Total distance doesn't matter. And well, it can be a negative. If you've got a big delta between your carry distance and your total distance, let's say, for example, you hit an 8-iron 160 in the air and you're hitting at 175 total, that 15 yards of difference is a problem. And at that point, you look at descent angle and the spin rate. And normally, one of those or both of them are out of whack if you have that much of a distance between carry and total. But carry distance is the number that you want to know on your irons. And carry distance is the number you want to use out on the golf course when you're picking an iron out of your club, out of your bag to hit a shot. The carry distance is the number that matters. And then I just mentioned two measures that feed into controlling the ball on the carry distance, and that's spin and descent angle. Those are numbers that really matter.
I am getting old, man. I'm telling you, Paul, because I used to just mock golf nerds. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you nerd. Hit the ball, nerd. And now I'm just like fascinated. I have leaned into my fascination. I could really geek out about this stuff all day. So I'm getting old, and I no longer believe that it is a nerdy hobby because it's fascinating. But let's give Jordan some love because, first of all, what a cool facility. What a cool concept. Yeah. I didn't even know it was a thing until I walked in. And I walk in, and they're really big, buff dudes lifting weights. And then there's a place you can get some food. And then Jordan goes through the process, and, man, is he good at it. So for our listeners that are interested in doing what I did today, how can they get a hold of our friends up at T-Box?
tbx.golf, which I think is the coolest URL in the game. You can go to tbx.golf and it will and find a location near you, and it's pretty easy to connect and get going there. They've got locations not only around Utah. It started in Ogden. A guy named Preston Unk, who is a real innovative thinker, came to this because he was kind of like you in many ways, Spencer, newish to the game as an adult, and got hooked on it and started getting really fascinated with it, and figured out there was a gap in the marketplace that he thought he could fill, and he's correct, and developed the T-Box concept, which addresses the whole golfer's experience. And as you noted, a big piece of that is getting the body right. And so you walk in, the first thing you see when you walk in the door is all this gym equipment, people doing both machines and free weights and getting their bodies right and strong and flexible. And so that's the T-Box way. It combines all of these elements, the physical training, the golf training, the game training, and it puts it all together in the whole golfer experience. I'm a big fan of T-Box, and I just love hanging out at the places. They're really interesting, fun places to be. What you experienced this morning is exactly what is found in T-Boxes anywhere. They're around. You can find them at tbx.golf, and they are really nationwide. They are really blowing up across the nation. It's an increasingly prominent and important part of the golf landscape nationwide, and will continue to become more so.
And let me say this, because even for myself, and I've been playing now for about, this will be my 5th year, is how I put it, trying to get better at this. But even for me, the process feels daunting and intimidating because golf is hard. I mean, the crazy thing about golf is that even stone cold competitors are willing to do it because you can look like such an idiot so quickly, such an idiot so quickly. So for anybody that's a little bit nervous about maybe going up to T-Box or trying to get a hold of Jordan to go for a fitting, they're really nice people. Like that was another takeaway. I met the owner, met some people that work there, and everybody's just super nice. So don't be intimidated. Yeah, it's a process that they'll kind of walk you through.
Yeah, totally. Look, we're we're all golf geeks. We love this game. We love this stuff. And one of the things we love about being in golf is the people. And it's so fun when somebody sees that and they come and be a part of it. After you had left, Spencer, Jordan and I were talking, and we were talking a little bit about your background, very basketball centric, and I said, but he's one of us now. And Jordan laughed and shook his head. He goes, yeah, he's one of us.
Yeah, it was fun. And I cannot wait to get these clubs. I'm like, I haven't felt like this since maybe I was 8 when I was going to get my bike for Christmas. Now let's move over here before we find out what's on the show. Because the Genesis is going on. It's a great field. It's an elevated event with 20 mil on the line. I don't know who this gentleman is who's leading the way. Is it Marco Penge? Penge. Okay. So we got to give him love. He's 12 under. What should we know about him?
He's a British player, and he got his way to the PGA Tour by finishing in the top 10 of the DP World Tour last year. And each year, the top 10 of the DP have the option to coming over to the PGA Tour. Penge came over, and he has played his way into being in the top 50 in the world, and that gets him in this event, and he is making the most of it. Boy, howdy, he is out there playing great. Hasn't quite finished his round today, but so far he's got a clean card, and he's -7 on the day. That is good golf at Riviera.
So when it comes to, and again, I'm just bringing this up because I don't know who he is, when it comes to maybe a lesser-known guy that is rising like this in a tournament where he's got a 3-shot lead, but he's got a 3-shot lead over Xander. What are the chances that he can keep this going? Because, again, he's got some of the best golfers in the world right on his heels.
It's been done, but you got to show me you can do it. And you are so right. He's got a 2-time major champion breathing down his neck. Then just a couple of shots in back of Xander Schauffele. You've got, here's some major champions for you. How about Rory McIlroy, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Wyndham Clark? There is a lot of work yet to do. It's going to be a fun weekend. And this golf course, holy cow, one of the great golf courses in the world. So interested every year to get to see these guys play on it. And this year, the women are coming. They're going to play the U.S. Open there. Cannot wait to see the women play it. It's going to be and the Olympics are coming to Riviera when they go to Los Angeles here in a few years. But Penge he's in a great position. Who wouldn't want to be leading by 3 at the midpoint in the tournament? But it's not nearly done, and he knows it.
Looks like Tony's going to play the weekend, so that's good. He had a solid round today, 69 after 72 yesterday, so he's 1 under, which is tied for 32nd. All right, how low are you willing to go? Okay, as we enter the weekend, how many golfers left on this list do you think can actually win the thing?
Okay, so we normally, after 36 holes, we normally go back 5 shots and then take it from there. So 5 shots back get you to T7, and we got to go deeper than that this week because you've got an unproven player with a 3-shot lead. Now, he very well may prove himself this week. He totally could. He's a multiple-time winner on the DP World Tour. But he hasn't done it yet here in America on the PGA Tour. And so let's go a few other shots back, and let's capture everybody within the top 10 because that T9 goes all the way down to 15 players. And you start to get names like Adam Scott, Tommy Fleetwood, Colin Morikawa, Aldridge Potgieter. We already mentioned Clark, Fitzpatrick, and McIlroy. So I think we need to go all the way down to T9, looking at players who are within striking distance. And we just mentioned all those. Gosh, a couple others, players like Kurt Kitayama and Ryan Fox. These are players. Minwoo Lee. They can get on a run. I don't think this tournament is anywhere near done.
Good to see Jordan Spieth playing some good golf this year, isn't it? Yeah, so he's right there. 5 under. All right, Paul, 2 things. 1, send me those photos, please, sir.
Yeah.
2, what's coming up on the radio show tomorrow?
we've got a fun thing we're doing on the show tomorrow. So the Utah Section PGA is in the process of kicking off its inaugural class of inductees into the Utah Section PGA Hall of Fame. And we're going to start going through these inductees, and starting tomorrow with the great and legendary T. Branca, who has passed away, but we will have both his sons on the show tomorrow, Ron Branca and Don Branca, to talk about their father. And both Ron and Don are major figures in the Utah game as well. Cannot wait to have that conversation with Ron and Don Branca about their legendary father, T. Branca. That'll be the highlight of the show tomorrow.
Paul, thanks for the time, and thanks again for today. It was awesome. Can't wait to get those clubs and start grinding away. All right, thank you, sir. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye. Paul
Pugmire up at T-Box today. Fascinating experience. If you haven't done it before, Jordan Bloxham is his name. T-Box up in Centerville. They got a bunch across the landscape of the state. It's a really cool concept because they have a gym next to the simulators, and they run you through golf workouts to get your body ready for the season. And it's a good option in the off season, obviously, when it's cold and the snow is falling. All right, time now for our Uinta Golf PGA update. Swing into Uinta Golf by Worldwide Golf Shops to get custom fit for the new Callaway Quantum Driver. The Callaway Quantum Driver features Tri-Force technology, and the result is a faster face, more ball speed, and a quantum leap in distance off the tee. It's uintagolf.com. Check it out. All right, so the PGA Tour, as we just talked about, it is the Genesis Invitational at the Riviera Country Club in Pacific Palisades, California. Marco Penge is your leader, 12 under par. I think Rory just eagled because he's now at 10 under. So Rory is closing the gap, and he's only through 11. Plenty of golf left for Rory McIlroy. Xander's in the clubhouse at 9 under par. Jacob Bridgman is also 9 under. Minwoo Lee and Max Greasom, 8 under par. Then it's Matt Fitzpatrick, Wyndham Clark, and Tommy Fleetwood at 7 under. Aldrich Potgeider, Ryan Fox, Aaron Ray, Kurt Kitayama, Colin Morikawa, Adam Scott, all at 6 under. And then shout out to Jordan Spieth, 5 under par, as is Pearson Coody and Sepp Straka. Tony had a solid day today. Not a great day, but a solid day for Tony. He will play the weekend as of now. 1 under for the tournament, 69 today, which was 2 under. And he is tied with a bunch of golfers 1 under par, but the cut line is even. So barring something crazy down the stretch today, it looks like Tony Finau is going to play the weekend. All right, 2 hours down, 2 hours to go. Great win for the Runnin' Utes. They beat West Virginia on the road. They welcome in UCF at home tomorrow. And our buddy Sean Mooney will join us live in studio coming up on the other side of a Friday drive on ESPN 700. All right. Went geeky golf last segment. Geeked out on the game of golf. Sean Mooney is live in studio. Do you want to geek out on more golf at all? Or should we talk
totally
some
do.
hoops?
Yeah, no, let's geek out on golf for a minute.
All right, for a minute, because
Yes.
you were telling me you grew up on a golf course.
Yeah, no, I
working on
worked
a
at
golf
El Monte
course.
in
Yeah.
Ogden, and I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
my guys are listening right now, so I got to give them a shout out. One in particular, Tom Carlson, who grew up in Ogden as well.
What's up, Tom?
Steve Wathen.
What's up, Steve?
Was the pro that
Love
I
it.
worked under, and I was a shag bagger, Spence.
Okay.
So I literally went out on the range and bagged the balls, and everyone tried to hit us. They'd angle at us, and we put the card in between strategically.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we got to run the Cushman every once in a while,
Okay.
which you know how fast the Cushman
I do, yeah.
But I was listening to your show on the way over here,
Mm-hmm.
and I like the idea of the external cue,
Uh-huh.
the idea that you're playing to a target. And
Yeah.
I think Reggie Miller was a good example.
Yeah.
Of maybe not like the best form,
Yeah.
but boy, did he get it done.
Yeah, you're not going to tell Reggie Miller to change his jumper, but like Ray Allen, Devin Booker, dude, watching the three-point contest.
Beautiful.
If you wanted to define what a jump shot looks like, it's Devin Booker right now,
question.
man.
No
So
question.
do you still play?
So I play with my guys.
Okay.
I'm serviceable.
Okay.
They give me a high handicap, and I've got a good attitude.
Yeah, you
so
do.
They
Yeah,
don't
you
mind
do.
having me around because I'm not the guy that's going to bring anyone down. Now, on the golf course, there's an outside chance that every once in a while I'm going to get a par. And every
okay.
once in a while I'll do something better, but mostly it's bad.
Yeah, you are a sweet guy, and you do have a great energy about you.
Thank you.
But you were a college basketball player.
Yeah.
There's something inside of you that wants to win, right?
Oh.
You got that fire somewhere, right?
Oh, always. Especially if
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
playing with Brad Bruce, who's the nicest
Shout
guy.
out Brad, my guy. It's my guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
He's the nicest guy to play golf with.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's always building you up.
Love Brad, man.
He's smart, right?
Yeah, he's good people.
That's how he plays. And he's not going to go out and he's like talking about guys who have a swing. He's not like got the best swing.
Yeah, Brad, your swing is horrible.
No, it's good.
I'm teasing. I've
It's
never
not
played with him
horrible.
before.
It's good.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's a guy who is really competitive. And is
Oh,
good.
is he really? Okay.
Not like he's never going to throw a club or anything, and there's nothing wrong with that. I heard you.
Well,
At least you haven't broken in.
I'm getting better. Okay, I'm improving as far as not breaking or throwing clubs as much.
You're really moving up. I can tell.
I get frustrated, man.
Just understand it.
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't do that at all.
Okay.
He just grinds.
Yeah.
And he's the guy who, when it's on the line,
Yeah.
he's going to make it happen.
I got to give Brad a little shout out. Brad Bruce, local legend, because
True.
when you're like the freshman in the frat house,
Yeah.
none of the older guys are nice to you.
Okay.
And he was so nice to all of us. He was just like the sweetest guy to all of us.
That's who
So
he is.
I'll always have a special spot for him for sure. Yeah, man, I've just become fascinated. Like, real quick, and then
Yeah.
we've got a lot of youths to talk
Yes,
about.
we
Because
do.
how about our boys, man?
I'm excited, man.
What changed my viewpoint on throwing golf clubs?
Yeah.
My girlfriend and I went to San Diego last year,
Okay.
and we were playing on a course, and they paired us with two guys.
Okay.
And this one guy was, I'm not going to swear on air. I have done it in 20 years, but it hasn't cost me
We
my job
understand
yet.
what you're going to say.
He was such a jerk.
Just
And
one
thought-
of those guys.
Yeah, and just thought he was awesome
Yeah.
and trying to show off.
Yeah.
And threw his club on every hole.
Oh.
And it ruined my day. And so I'm like, are you doing this to people? Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not an aggressive club thrower, but once or twice around.
Yeah.
I don't want to, first of all, I'm not good enough to get mad.
Thank you.
Second of all, I don't want to ruin other people's day because I act like a child.
Yes.
So I'm trying to work on it.
So my dad taught me when I was 13, I hit a bad drive, duck hooked it into someone's back window on their truck.
Yeah.
And I threw my club as far as I could.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything. He drove the golf cart down, picked my golf club up, put it in my bag, and said, "You don't get him again the rest of the summer."
Oh, wow.
He's like, "I know you're a good athlete.
Yeah.
You don't need to prove it to me.
Yeah.
Your ego is what you got to deal with.
Huh.
Let that go."
Look at that.
Yeah, it was a really good lesson.
Yeah,
I
love
never
that.
forgot it. I never threw a club again.
Love that.
And what I realized was my self-worth wasn't dependent on whether or not I duck hooked
Yeah.
or not.
Love
and
it.
then golf just became more enjoyable.
Right. Right.
Because that's the idea,
Yeah.
right? Go have fun.
100%. Somebody said something a few years back that also changed my viewpoint. We're out here to have fun. If you want to work, go to the range.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
That's where you do it.
yeah.
Get
That's
that
where you
done
get
there.
better. Yeah. We're out here to enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember I was a kid, and I never played at all when I was younger, but I was playing with my uncles and my grandpa, who was a huge player, Oak Ridge Country Club guy up north.
Yeah. I know well.
Yeah, loved the game. And my uncle hooked his drive into like the woods and then threw his brand new driver into the lake.
Oh.
and my grandpa made him go swim and get it. It was hilarious.
Literally, he had to swim.
He had to swim into the lake to go get his driver. It was hilarious. But anyway, so Sean, look.
Yes.
West Virginia's a good basketball team.
I know, Spence.
So, like, I'm sitting down. I'm like, all right, come on. Let's see what we got here. And they go up 18-3, and I will be honest. I said, how are they going to let this one go?
No, of course,
right?
Because that's what's happened this year.
Exactly.
It's okay to say that
exactly.
because that's what's happened this year.
But here's what I love most, okay?
Yeah.
And we had Bill on earlier. This was not some display in shot making.
Right.
Like, first half, BYU hitting some weird threes, and it's like, okay, this isn't sustainable. Right. This wasn't that. This was 40 minutes of just intentionally staying focused and playing hard defensively. Yeah. And we've seen 5 to 8 minute spurts of this, but they were relentless from the tip and didn't let up. And I was just so proud of them and so happy for Al. Well, tell me what you saw.
Yeah, no, same. So we defensively over the last 5 games, we've been good. We're in the top half of the league defensively. Stats will prove that out. It's not just me saying that, right? And we're in the bottom half of the league offensively. So offensively, we've got to do something on the other side of the ball to give us a chance. West Virginia is not that dissimilar to us, actually.
Yeah.
They're good defensively, but they're pretty bad offensively. And then one of the things, and Martin Schiller, I got to give him a shout out. He's our assistant coach. He's from Germany. He's great. He's been fun to hang out with all season. He said this in the Kansas game. Obamate didn't make the Kansas game, and he was sick. And they put Seydou in a little different role.
Okay.
And so when Seydou comes in, he's 6'5", and he's all of that. He's got a great body, and his defense has really changed what we do over the last 5 games.
Okay.
And against Honor Huff, you saw Honor Huff 5'8" on a good day, Seydou 6'5" every day.
Yeah.
And he got like a backhanded block at the end of a series, and both teams put the other team late in the shot clock. We did it against them. And they did it against us, and we survived.
Yeah. Good. Good points there. And it was because the Hunter Huff kid, Brooklyn zone.
Yep.
He can get going.
It's
right?
hot, man. 131 threes last year at a different level.
I love those little New York guards that can shoot it from the outside.
They're good.
You know.
Seydou's from the same area, similar area.
Love it. So the question comes down to whether or not this was a learning moment. Okay. Because I went to the Houston game.
Right.
And look, I want fans of the Huntsman Center. Let's start there.
Yeah.
But the only benefit of no fans being in the building, and I was on row like 15, good, not great, I could hear everything Alex was saying.
Hey, what'd you hear? I want to know what you heard.
Well, Emmanuel Sharp, who is good at basketball, okay? He's knocking down these threes, but they're practice threes.
Unbelievable.
And I'm thinking, like, the scheme is not lay off Emmanuel Sharp.
No, man, just the opposite.
Right. And but Al's gap him, blitz him, get up. He's yelling.
Yep.
And I'm hearing him, and I don't want to single anybody out, but I'm like, why don't you hear him? I can hear him. Will you do what he's telling you to do?
Yes.
Right? I mean, look, Emmanuel Sharp's awesome, but I could go out there and knock down a couple practice threes if nobody's guarding me, and I'm 48 years old.
You do, that's right. And I know you can shoot it.
Well, but
not like him, but you can shoot it.
Right. And so if you're going to let a future pro step into wide open threes, you are not going to win the game. And to your point about offense, this has to be the blueprint for this team this year.
It does.
Intense focus. And look, it's hard to stay focused for 40 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
Anyone who's played a full basketball game will tell you, okay, I'm drifting. I'm thinking about my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Am I getting shots up? No.
Getting tired.
Right. But we are not talented enough to show up in a gym and put up 110.
Right.
This is the blueprint. Can they use this as a teaching lesson as, okay, maybe we found something moving forward now?
Yeah. They can, and here's what I think. So it's interesting because I talked to you after the Crown basketball tournament, and I was one of those projectors that said Al's going to come in. Coach Alex Jensen's going to come in, and we're going to be good defensively. With the Canton Charge, he proved that. So in the second year, they were the best defensive team. I expected that right away, and probably unfairly said that he would win games just because of defense. We have not been that this year until lately. And I think after the Kansas State game, we had a little mini implosion that fans won't know, and I'm not going to go into the great details.
Oh, okay.
But we had kind of an implosion on our team.
Okay.
And it's not about the coach, not about the player. Just sometimes teams hit the wall.
Yeah, sure.
And we should, like Kansas State, frankly, they only two of the best players weren't playing.
Yeah.
It should have been a game that we won on the road.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And the kids know that, the coaches know that, and I think we had a moment there. And to the credit of the coaches and to the credit of our team, their temperament, I said this on OC show today, their temperament has gotten better.
Okay.
And what you see is a result of that. Like Emmanuel Sharp, that's what he does. He shoots threes.
Yeah.
Crowd him. Make him a driver.
Yeah.
If the guy can't shoot, right, you back off of him.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not complicated.
Right.
So you got to be able to do it. And if you can't do it, or if you don't want to do it, or if you hear other people telling you outside the coaching ranks what you should do, then you got to get rid of all that noise, and you got to come correct.
Yeah.
And you got to listen to what the coaches are saying. And if you can't, then you don't get to play.
Right. No, I'm watching, listening to Al, watching the players, wondering if they're hearing or if they don't understand. And then Emmanuel Sharp with another wide open three. Then I'm looking over at Al, and poor guy's going to rip his hair out.
Dying.
Yeah, I mean,
he was dying.
So look, you keep off air what you need to keep off air. Totally respect that. But implosion after K-State.
Yeah.
If you're a competitor and you're getting your head kicked in. It's why this weird thing in the NBA, it puzzles me. And look, I never played for anything that matters, but the thought of showing up to compete and you're told we're trying to lose tonight, winning is a habit, losing is also a habit. And if you're losing intentionally, bad habits are going to creep in. I can't imagine this is going to be good for the long term. And look, I was a 20-point-per-game scorer on a team that went 6-14 and a rotational piece on a team that won state. Give me that.
Every day.
Right? And
every
so
day.
Losing
and you mean that when you say it.
100%.
Yeah.
Now, I think maybe as a cocky 16-year-old, I would have told you differently.
Yeah.
But having that experience totally changed. Get rotational piece on the winning team all day long, because losing it takes its toll, Sean. And I have to imagine it's taking the toll on the coaches and the players.
No question. After the Cincinnati game, which we should have won.
Yeah.
Coaches will say that. The players will say that. We were up 5 with just under 2. And then we're up 3 with 124, and TB steps up to the line to shoot a one-on-one.
Yeah.
And this is what you're talking about in the previous segment about being athletic. Here's the problem. The environment has a lot to do with what kind of successful movement you make. And people who say free throws are easy, at crunch time, I honestly don't think they've ever shot a crunch time free throw.
Yeah. It's a different thing.
There's a lot of environmental stuff going on, inside, outside. We should have won the game. I'm sure that Al feels that way. After, when I interviewed him, when Bill and I interviewed him, one of the things he said, he marked up when we fouled a 3 to make it a 4-point play. And I think his point was we made some mistakes that cost us. But they did the same thing to Don right away.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the reason.
Mm-hmm.
So that team, in my opinion, they got better as opposed to worse, because they want to win.
For sure.
I mean, dude, TB, we're on the same floor in that hotel and I get to talk to him. I mean, more than anything, you want to win. And I agree with you, because like I was a very much a role player, sat on the bench mostly, but got to play periodically on a team that won 30 games.
Yeah.
30 games. And we went to the Sweet 16, and I wouldn't change it.
100%.
I mean, my role was important for that team. Now, it wasn't Josh Grant. It wasn't Jimmy Soto. It wasn't Byron Wilson. But every one of those guys will tell you that my role was important, and I'm happy to be part of it. These guys would all reverse out and come back if they could win 20 games.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Dude, Josh was I wonder if people remember.
Really good.
Josh was nasty.
Really good.
How tall?
6'9".
6'9".
Yeah. So I would say I feel like I'm a person who can say this. Greg Grant, number 1.
Okay.
Unbelievable score. Josh Grant right there.
Okay.
Neck and neck.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go Scooter.
Okay.
With Nathan.
Okay.
Right?
I like it.
Yeah, because Scooter he was role player, could do everything.
Yeah.
But Josh Grant, man, when we were playing teams that kind of thought he looked funny, because, kind of 6'9", skinny, kind of pasty white, lanky, he would just go off on them.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Josh was awesome.
Really, really good. I'm going to say this, JG, if you're listening, maybe the only reason, was hardest sometimes was because defensively, you had a lot of pressure on your shoulders offensively.
Yeah.
So maybe at the next level, is even harder defensively to play.
For sure. Josh, friend of the show, joined the show. Porter, was that last year when Josh came on? Josh Grant?
I think so.
So it was during the coach. Had Mark fired Craig yet? I don't remember.
It was around that time.
It was
but I
right
can't
around the
remember.
time.
Yeah.
I heard your show. I heard when
Dude.
JG was on.
I mean that was one of those where I just cracked the mic and said, "Go ahead, Josh. Go ahead, Josh." You know.
Yeah.
So clearly, still very passionate.
He is.
About Utah basketball.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I was a kid watching. I already told you Jimmy was my guy, like because I was a small guard and watching
Unbelievable,
Utah
Spence.
basketball. I'm like, man, one day maybe I'll play like Jimmy Soto. He was awesome. Yeah.
I mean, Lee, for his size,
Yeah.
pound for pound,
Yeah.
he was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Because we ran chin or one up, like we set a big screen, and then Jimmy would come off, and there'd be a shooter in the corner, and if you didn't stay on the shooter, Jimmy had all kinds of choices.
Yeah.
Josh would pop because Josh could shoot it.
Oh yeah.
But Jimmy turned the corner, and he scored a lot.
Yeah.
And he's 5'7". Now, he had a 42-inch vertical.
He had a 42-inch vert.
Yes.
Really?
He and Paul Apiaki.
Sure. Yeah.
We'll have to ask Jimmy, but I'm
Okay.
pretty sure those guys were neck and neck.
We need to have a debate about the Grants versus the Moores.
I mean, it's no contest.
Okay, oh, I know, but a conversation that only you and I could have. Quite
we'll
frankly.
do that. We need to get them on the court together because they can still play. The Grants can probably still play. I think the Moores can too.
Oh, I'm sure they can. Yeah. Yeah, a conversation that would confuse all of our listeners.
Yes, that's right.
But you
Except
and
for
I
the
could
two
have.
of us.
For sure. All right. Final thing, and then next segment, let's look ahead to the final 5 games
Yes.
and what success looks like. When it comes to, and I know, and you've been good to let us know about player availability. So when it comes to rotations at this point in the season, it feels like Al has landed really on a 7.5-man rotation with Obamonte getting some minutes in relief of Terrence and Don.
Yep.
Do you feel like he's dialed in with who he wants to play, or is it going to be case by case, game by game?
I still think it's going to be case by case, but he is definitely more dialed in. And Obamonte, I think, would understand this. He struggled lately, and part of that is because you got to be live on the offensive end, meaning that even if you can't score, you have to look like you can score.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is when you get a catch, unless you're changing or passing it right away, look at the rim.
Yeah.
Right? James Okonkwo doesn't ever look at the rim. They want him to. Al's telling him to all the time, even if he can't, shoot it, look at the rim.
We're going to talk during the break. I got a couple questions. Our guy Sean Mooney is live in studio. He's our analyst on our Utah basketball broadcast. Let me take this opportunity to beg and plead you to go to the Huntsman Center tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Please.
These young men are coming off the biggest win of the year, and it's been a rough year. So let's see if we can get some fans there to support them. A winnable game against a good team. We'll talk about Johnny Dawkins' squad coming up next with Sean. But I want to tell you about my friends at Wasatch Medical Spa. Okay, so this is brand new, proven technology that's been trusted in women's intimate wellness for over 10 years, and now it's here in Utah. Wasatch Medical Spa is the only place that has it. It's called Apex RF. It's a non-surgical, drug-free treatment, no pills, no injections, no downtime. Everyone they've treated reports noticeable improvement regardless of age. A lot of people recommending it. Our friend Shelly was in studio. She had all of her staff make their husbands go through it, and it's discreet, it's comfortable, it's private. You're back to your day immediately. Your first visit is an easy 30-minute free consultation. Okay, so as a result of them being a client, your consultation is free, but here's the kicker. Your first treatment is 50% off, so you're saving hundreds of dollars. So if you just want a little bit more intimacy with your partner, or if you're suffering from ED, throughout the course of that spectrum, they can help you out. Book online at wasatchmedicalspa.com and experience the next level of men's performance with our friends at Wasatch Medical Spa. More with Sean Mooney coming up on ESPN 700. Sean Mooney live in studio. Did you ask for the Van Morrison today? Is this your call?
I like it. So my wife has brown eyes, so every time I hear it, I got to get a little shout out to my girl Christina.
Very nice. Love Van Morrison. You got a Bowie shirt on.
I do.
Are you a music guy?
I like it a lot.
Okay.
I love, this, Gene dance. I love the dance. Yeah. So, obviously I like music.
Do you like live music? Do you go to shows?
I do because of Christina. So and she is the music person in my family.
Okay.
And I go to a lot of shows because of my girl. If I had to choose, my shows would be probably more R&B. And I grew up with rap and hip hop, so I really like that. Like I want to go to the Bruno Mars Pinky Room.
Okay,
we're thinking about taking our kids there. My youngest is turning 21. And
okay,
that's my kind of style.
Okay, so I'm low key a big hip hop head. Yeah, I was lucky to grow up in the Northeast.
Yep.
In the late 80s, 90s when it started permeating into the suburbs, right?
Yeah.
So obviously the birth of it. Harlem,
right?
Manhattan, all over the place in New York. And then I'll never forget the first time I heard Tribe Called Quest. I went, "What is this?"
Like it was different.
And I still to this day, like my family gives me all this crap. Every year we have this fun thing that we do where it's like, "Hey, we create playlists for birthdays.
I like it.
Send us a song that reminds you of your brother."
I like it.
And my playlist every year, it's Dave Matthews and Tribe Called Quest.
There's a little bit of a difference there.
I'll listen. I listen to everything. Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah,
It makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what's going to move your body?
Porter has begrudgingly drugged me into some country spaces that I'm trying to be more open-minded about. It's not really my jam, but outside of that. So give me your favorite hip-hop groups or MCs, or we could even do a top 5 MC if you want.
Beastie Boys and Run DMC are what I grew up on.
Yeah.
But then, of course, like Kool Moe Dee and that style, is what I really liked. Maybe more recently, my kids are going to give me a hard time. Truth, what's the kid's name? Chance?
Chance the Rapper?
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I am a stubborn curmudgeon. It's 80s, 90s hip-hop
Well,
for me.
it's just the story's different and the pace is different. That's what's hard. And I like Kendrick.
I do like Kendrick.
I think Kendrick's trying to say something.
Yeah.
I mean, Slim Shady's trying to say something. I like Public Enemy, of course, was like
sure.
I mean, it was pivotal for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And when I was at the African American Museum in Washington D.C., I spent like 6 full minutes just on the Public Enemy, and that whole museum's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But so those are mine.
Yeah, I was fascinated because Tribe was different, right? There was like that, De La Soul. The entire
I loved it. I love it.
They had this name for their entire group. I'll have to think of it. But yeah, Tribe to this day, Porter will tell you, like if I just come one day, I'll be like, just play Tribe all day.
Thank you.
So I'm glad you're a hip hop head, 90s hip hop. And also, I can remember the first. So I had this experience to play AAU ball back in the day where AAU wasn't everywhere. You had to like make the team. And between my sophomore and junior year, I made a good AAU team. And I wasn't near one of the better players. We had 8 D1 guys and 3 pros.
You had some players.
And one year, we traveled up to Boston for a tournament, and I was the only white kid on the bus.
Love it.
And this was back when we had Discman, right?
Yep.
And then you brought your Case Logic with you. They had like 12 CDs.
They had everything in it. Yep.
And I had like Lion King soundtrack.
Oh, no, you did not.
Oldest of 6, LDS Family. I had like Disney soundtrack.
Oh, they didn't see it, did they?
Oh, of course they did.
Oh, no.
But they had Tribe and they had Dr. Dre, they had Snoop, they had De La Soul and Pharcyde and all of these unbelievable hip hop groups that I'd never heard of. And when I really leaned into it, I don't think my father was pumped that this is what I was listening to. He was opening the door, but
he didn't know.
To his credit, he did try. I remember he came home from the Garden one day and he said, "Son, you'll never guess who I met." And I said, "Who's that?" He goes, "Snoopy Dog." And I'm like, "Oh, so close, Dad. So
he did
close."
say that. He said it like
said
that.
Snoopy Dog.
That's really funny.
But I mean, he was trying.
Yeah, right.
Lean into it. But
he's connecting with you.
Yeah, still to this day, I'll go through a phase where for like 3 weeks, all I listen to is hip hop.
I get it, brother.
Yeah.
I feel you.
But I don't like the new stuff. Like I can't stand Drake. Anyway, I sound like an old man.
You do.
All right, UCF, Johnny Dawkins.
Yeah.
It's a good team.
Yeah, they're really good.
It's another one of these teams where they're right next to West Virginia in the standings.
Right.
But they can put points up, can't they?
They can. And so have you been talking about wins above bubble at all? It's this new metric that people should at least understand a little bit. So net rankings of what we've been talking about, right, getting people into the NCAA tournament. And wins above bubble are arguably maybe more important. So basically the idea, and if I hack this, whoever's out there, if Ken Pomeroy's out there listening, Ken, I'm sorry. The idea is that you take like a team that's at the 45th net ranking, and then you, how will you do against that level of competition? Will you be 17-14? Will you be 20-11? So you'll have so many wins above what a normal bubble team would have. They have a 2.4 wins above bubble ranking. UCF, which puts them in based on last year's what happened by February 18th in the NCAA tournament. So even though they lost 3 of their last 4, they are good offensively. They're really long. They've got, like, not unlike other teams, a lot of new players. The players that I've watched that I really like, obviously Fulks, their point guard's really good. Burks is playing really well right now. They're all like 6'5", 6'7", 6'9". Riley Kugel, who you know is a player, can really shoot it. And then they've got a kid who's played for 6 years, Cambridge, and they got a big in the middle, Bull. And then Stillwell, Jamarcus Stillwell, is a kid that's coming from another level, and he's a great body, which you have to have in the Big 12. You got to have a guy that's 6'7" and 240. If you don't have that, you're in trouble.
Or a few of them, right?
Or a few. Yeah.
So I feel like this is a winnable game.
Yeah, no question, because we're coming off a win.
Right.
So to me, like, our temperament right now is we know we can do it.
Yeah.
We should have done it against Cincinnati. We should have had 2. We should have had 2 wins on the road.
Yep.
That's just true.
Yeah.
And so this is a winnable game. And listen, UCF, now BYU is not the team that they were a week ago. And to Richie Saunders, get healthy, get better. I'm so sorry it happened to you. To JT Toppin, get healthy, get better. I've torn my ACL, MCL, and it's no fun. Yeah. It's hard to return from, but they'll both be fine. But, they're not looking at BYU, UCF the way they were before. And the second game is the hardest game when you come to altitude, but they're college athletes. They're going to be fine.
Yeah.
They love to fast break. Hopefully we can stop that, right? And then they're so long. They're not very good defensively metrics-wise, but they're really long.
Mm-hmm. So let's get into this, because we've discussed the defensive dynamic that's been improving under Al, like we thought it would, and like you predicted earlier in the year. So we'll kind of put that aside for a moment, because it does feel like we're in a good place with that. Right. Protecting the paint sometimes seems to be a little bit difficult. Look, James plays his ass off.
He does.
I want to be clear.
Full hard in.
Yeah, and so I love that about him.
Yep.
But the offensive stuff, even a simple dribble handoff, it's like, just don't hand it to the other team.
Yeah.
Hand it to your teammate.
Right.
So offensively right now, and you referenced Traore, and he had a nice night the other night, 6 of 13, 3 threes, 17 points. And we needed it because Keanu just offense, and you could tell that they were making it a point of emphasis to stop him.
No question.
And then Terrence and Don are going to get theirs.
Yeah.
But, when it comes to offensive attacking basketball in the painted area, as Hubie Brown likes to say, are you seeing anything that's improving in that direction?
I mean, so let's just talk about our offense really fast so it's easier to understand. Okay. So what Alex does is we don't have a back to the basket guy. We're just not, we don't have a mid post guy. Our bigs are going to be on the baseline, their heels on the baseline at the dunker spot or the short corner, and then they're going to move to the restrictor circle. Those are kind of their areas. So we don't have a game that just gets in the paint. So TB is a guy that can drive. Now against West Virginia, TB drove and he passed it. And we were a lot better. Mm-hmm. When TB drives, someone's going to come and help, especially a team like West Virginia. He can pass it. We don't really have other players that do that as effectively. I mean, drive and then pass it. But our offense is predicated on helping these players become better at those things. Mm-hmm. So we are getting a little better. Seydou's a little better now than he was early in the season. He'd get stripped, turn it over. Now he gets in the paint. He kind of has a game plan. It's not necessarily to pass it, but to score it. KD tries to drive it, and he can if the lane's open, but if someone comes, hard for him to pass it. Kendall, when he drives, harder for him to pass it. Yeah. So that's kind of what our offense is predicated on. And on our defensive side, Spence, absolutely no paint, no middle. But have we done that? No, we're getting better. Mm-hmm. That means that, when the drive comes, someone has got to attack penetration. If they've gone by their initial defender, and then we got to rotate out of that. And then we run different defensive sets. Like a lot of teams, we double early or we double on the dribble. So those are things that we're also doing, right? But that's kind of the premise of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, the no paint, no middle was so much better against West Virginia.
Was.
I mean, the rotations.
Better.
I'm just watching. I'm like, just all game. Okay, let's do this all game. And they did.
Yeah.
We haven't talked much about Josh Hayes.
I like him.
Let's talk a little bit, because that was the first game for me where I was like, all right, there's something here.
Yeah.
As far as his ability to crash the glass and just, again, rotate defensively, feels like Al's got something with him.
Yeah, no, I really like Josh. And so here's what's tough. In the Cincinnati game, he went in and he got pushed under the basket, and it was a done deal.
Yeah.
He's out.
Yeah.
And that happens. That's what happens with coaches. And Josh is offensively much better than James. Like, he's got soft hands and he can actually finish around the rim. And this is not a slight on James. It's just reality. I think, James understands that. And then what Josh did in this particular game is he gave great energy. He's really long, and he rebounded the ball well.
Yeah, he's built well.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
He's long, and, he blocked a shot, and he's got some offensive rebounds. But the thing that I think that we needed from him, particular in this game, were those things, because James can do that, and he's a good rebounder, but he doesn't give you maybe the same defensive presence in the pick and roll or in any other kind of situation.
Yeah. So let's go back to James for a moment, because I kind of felt bad that I went at Obamonte last time you were here.
Yeah.
It can be frustrating.
Yes.
Like, move the ball.
Yeah.
You referenced earlier, even if you can't score, just pose a threat.
You got to look like you're going to try and shoot it.
And you're right about his on-ball defense. I mean, we should be fair about who he is.
It's good.
But you just can't, catch the ball, start dribbling, and stand there.
Right.
It's so maddening to me.
Right.
And, like I said, I don't want to go hard at one individual player. This is a team game, and it always has been, and you win and lose as a team, and it's been tough for everybody. Yeah. Tell me what you see as a guy that was a big in a way that I wasn't from James. Because, again, he cares.
He does.
Plays his tail off. I've been impressed when I've heard him interview. Like, he seems
he's a good interview.
Yeah, like a
he's
really
intelligent
introspective kid.
Yeah, very introspective, and he has something to say. Like, he's not just talking.
For sure. So I want to be fair here.
Yeah.
Is there a ceiling on his offensive game? And is he in there basically to throw his body around and get boards?
Yeah, he's in there to throw his body around and get boards. And then, you want him. He's a good communicator. He's going to use his words, which is always nice as a big.
Yeah.
In my opinion, having watched him, he just rushes. So when on offense, he doesn't slow down. Now, when he gets it and catches and it's easy to get on top of the rim and dunk, he does that. And he should honestly try to do that every time.
Totally agree with that, by the way.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean,
yes.
don't just try and dunk it every time.
I'm yelling at the TV, that very thing.
Just try and dunk it.
Yeah.
Don't any soft-handed. Just go dunk it.
You might get fouled.
You might get fouled. This can look better. And then, he wants to pass it. He's an unselfish kid. And you see that when he gets an offensive rebound because he's kicking it straight back out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then on defense, he can drop coverage pretty good. And he's had some of the most spectacular blocks. But he's not a shot blocker.
Right.
And so he's had spectacular blocks, but teams don't get in there and go, I got a pump fake or a shot fake on James.
Yeah. Are we getting closer? I mean, look, I will remember the 5-minute Lucas Langarita experience against BYU all year. And I'm just like, where's he been?
Yeah.
Are we getting any closer?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so if he had a certain injury and that injury needs 4 to 6 weeks to heal, then there's an outside chance that we're getting into that 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then that's just going to be Trevor clearing and whoever else Lucas is communicating with, but I'm assuming that's our medical staff.
Is there a thought in saying we know what time it is this year?
Yeah.
Let's get him right, put him on ice, and see him next year. Is there a thought there?
I mean, honestly, I don't know, because I don't think Lucas would want that.
Sure.
Just watching him and kind of seeing his competitiveness, I've watched him, watch, and he's mad. You can tell that he wants to play, which is really refreshing.
Yeah.
We want him out there. You want him out there.
Badly.
You saw what I saw.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that kid can pass.
Yep. Yeah, I just, and look, they're not tanking.
Nope.
They do not have a draft pick at stake.
They do not.
So my preference would be get everybody as quickly as you can, and let's just go try to get the thing done. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I asked Bill this earlier.
Yeah.
Are you able to talk about this Finn shot kid at all? Do you know anything about him?
Tell me who.
Okay, so Jonathan Givony tweeted out last week.
What did he say?
That Utah has this Austrian big man named Finn Schott.
Okay.
Has committed to Utah.
Right.
His agent told Givony.
Yeah, good.
I had never heard of him prior to the tweet, but if you go look at some YouTube highlights, he's 6'10".
Yeah.
He's 19. He's been dominating on the FIBA youth stuff, and he played with Austria's senior team next to Jakob Poeltl this year.
Really?
So that news came out. I asked Bill said it's not official, so he couldn't touch it. I just wonder if you have any insight there.
Spence, tell me what you saw. I want to know. Break him down.
I mean, just it's limited YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
But again,
what'd you see?
He's all 6'10".
Okay.
He's long.
Yeah.
He's athletic.
Yeah.
He's really skilled. I mean, he just looks like a modern day college big that you want in your program.
Can he shoot it?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does he rebound? Looks like he has good hands.
And he's built.
Great.
I mean, from what I saw, and again, this is just a Givony tweet.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to like.
Yeah.
Because in a way, we do kind of have to look at next year already.
But we do.
But before we do that, we should hone in on the rest of the season to just kind of feel what success looks like. So we've already talked about UCF.
Yeah.
And then it's Iowa State. And Iowa State is Iowa State probably is the team I most underestimated in the conference this year. That Iowa State-Houston game, dude, haymakers.
Man.
Those are adults playing basketball.
They are.
That's going to be tough. But then it's at Arizona State, home against Colorado, and at Baylor.
Yeah.
So out of the 5 games left, 4 are certainly winnable.
I agree.
For a team that just got its first road win in 15 tries, to say 4-1 is probably tough.
We'd be celebrating. You and I will be in this same space celebrating.
Yeah, but what does success looks like to you over the final 5?
I mean, I'm going to give you a little bit of the Coach Jensen to begin with. It's us continuing to be good defensively. We have to be good defensively because if we don't get that in right now, and this is the time to do it, then it's harder to bring that back. And we know not everyone's coming back. But what we need some players that will come back and know that we actually got better at defense and what that means.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's number 1. And then number 2, honestly, I think we got to get better offensively. We need to manage situational basketball. And listen, these coaches go over it. So when I say this, situational basketball means you're up 3 with 1:24. You're up 5 with 2 minutes. We've got to be good at the end of games. If we don't get better at the end of games in the next 5 games, then that's in my opinion, that's better. And I honestly, I think we can go 3-2.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think 3-2 is a win. We'll take 3-2 down the stretch. 100%.
Fantastic.
All right. I want to talk a little league-wide stuff in a moment, but before we do that, the seniors that play, it's Don and it's James, right? Those are the 2 seniors in the rotation.
Out of eligibility.
Yeah. So who do you think we see back? You want to take a shot at that?
Sure.
Who do you think we see back next year?
Yeah, okay. So first of all, I just want to preface it with the fact that whatever I say has nothing to do with what the coaches are going to do, obviously. And it doesn't have anything to do with, it's not personal, right? So, these players, I'm around them all the time. So obviously, KD's got a really high level. I think Seydou has really proven himself, especially over the last 5 games, in terms of his defensive ability. I think in the last game, KD in particular got a little taken back because he made a mistake, and Al let him have it. And I think KD's kind of too nice. He needs to be meaner. Mm-hmm. Now, TB, can we get him back? I don't know, because TB is playing his way into a lot of money possibly. Yep. Do I want TB back? He's a competitor. He plays with his full heart all the time. I think Kendall Sanders is a dog, meaning that he plays hard. He's got good physicality, and he can set the tone. Baba, I don't know. Lucas, absolutely. Whatever you got to do to get Lucas back, get that kid back, those would kind of be – that's where I would stand. Okay. All right, we'll see. But, again, the ball left. Yeah. We'll take a chance to remind everybody, 7 o'clock tomorrow night, Huntsman Center. Let's get there. All right. I said I underestimated Iowa State. Yeah. I overestimated BYU. I thought they'd be – I picked Houston. I think I picked BYU third. Okay. Houston, Arizona, BYU. I think I thought that's how this thing would shake out. And I thought they would I think – I think I did have BYU 3 because then I had Kansas, underestimated Iowa State, but overestimated BYU. And look, the Richie stuff sucks because he comes back for his senior year to try to play his way into the first round. And so the torn ACL, it's not only about the rest of BYU season. It's like, what does his professional career look like? Gutted for the kid. But even with him, the team last year is better. I think they beat him. And
it feels to me, and I'm not operating off of any inside information at all. And look, AJ is generational. He's awesome. He's so fun to watch when he gets going. McHale's a tough place to play. Arizona's awesome. But it feels to me this has become like a night in, night out shot for AJ to showcase his individual talents. And if you're going to pay a guy $5 million and you know he's going to be a top 2 pick, maybe you let him do his thing. They're so ISO heavy. And if it's not AJ or Rob, they stall. They don't move the basketball. Their depth, even with Richie, was an issue. They don't have somebody to step in and even give them half of what Richie did. They're trending towards like an 8 or a 9 seed and maybe a team that wins a game in the tournament. Right. But you have the front row seat. Tell me what you've seen.
Yeah, I mean, that's as good a breakdown as there is. And I haven't watched them as much now because I don't have to.
Right, yeah.
And I'm not trying to be rude to them. I'm watching other teams.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because, first of all, Dawson Baker, when he got hurt, it really hurt their team.
For sure.
So Dawson Baker, and this is my belief, but Bill doesn't initially believe this. He and I can disagree. I think he was a crucial player for them last year. Mm-hmm. They used him at the end of games a lot.
Yeah, they did.
And I mean, any player you're using at the end of the game is someone you believe in.
Yeah.
So obviously, him being out really hurts. And then some of their kids didn't tune up the way they thought they were going to tune up. And frankly, when you are watching a player like AJ DeBonsa, it probably does denude the other players, right? I mean, you all kind of get into this, wow, I can't believe what he just did. I don't know if that's true, but I know Burgess is not. Those coaches don't want that to happen.
Right.
Rob Wright's legit. And then you could say that maybe the number between Rob Wright and AJ changes what they can pay other players.
Yeah.
You know, and when Richie goes down, I mean, he is what BYU basketball is. Mm-hmm. Everything about him.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting, even last year, and your point about the salaries, I talked to Bill about this earlier, whether it's Darren Peterson appearing to be unserious about competing because he wants to save himself for the pros, and that's your right. Okay, you're going to be a superstar, do that. And, you know, AJ and Rob getting the bulk of the money. I wonder if we're going to see teams, the Wes Wilcoxes of the world, allocate funds to get 6 or 7 good players instead of go top heavy with 1 or 2.
I think that's true. I think that's what you're seeing most teams do. And I don't know if that's accurate because I'm not on the other side of writing the checks.
Yeah.
But, you know, you could argue that that's the art, right? Roster construction is the art in modern day college basketball.
Yep.
And honestly, frankly, you better use statistics, the advanced statistics, because they matter.
Sure.
And defensive rating matters.
Yeah.
And offensive rating matters. And if you're not using those to build your roster, I think it's a mistake. And I'm an old guy.
Yeah.
And I'm really trying to learn advanced statistics right now to be better at my job.
For sure. And look, Wes is a sharp guy and good reputation around pro basketball. And now he's running the show with Alex up there. All right, last thing. Best team in the league. You've seen all of them. Who's
Houston.
the best team? It's Houston.
It's not even close. I mean, you can't. It goes through Houston, period. And I put Iowa State next, and then I really like Arizona. You know, Pete's out. That makes a difference.
Yep.
And then Kansas. I mean, listen, like they like each other.
Yeah.
And Padunga and Melvin Council, like that's a really good tandem.
Yeah.
And then they have a guy that's pretty good that, you know, plays.
Yeah.
And Peterson. They've got a couple others.
I just want him to play because I want to watch him play basketball.
Same.
But look, we'll see. All right. Have a great call tomorrow. Good to see you. Okay.
Thanks, Spence.
Sean Mooney, our analyst on Utah basketball broadcast. Time now for your Uinta Golf PGA Tour update. Swing into Uinta Golf by Worldwide Golf Shops to get custom fit for the new Callaway Quantum Driver. The Callaway Quantum Driver features Tri-Force technology, and the result is a faster face, more ball speed, and a quantum leap in distance off the tee. UintaGolf.com. PGA Tour is at the Genesis Invitational in Pacific Palisades, California, where Marco Penge, don't know anything about him. He's your leader, 12 under par. He carded a 64 today. Jacob Bridgman is still on the golf course. He's at 10 under. Rory is still on the course as well. He's at 10 under through 14. Adam Scott making a move today. He's at 10 under par. He's also still on the course. The following golfers are in the clubhouse. Xander Schauffele at 9 under. Minwoo Lee at 8 under. Max Graceman at 8 under. Then Kurt Kitayama, Matt Fitzpatrick, Wyndham Clark at 7 under par. I think Tony's going to make the weekend. He should. Okay, so the cut line is even. Tony's at 1 under. So our local guy will play the weekend. So there you go. All right, 3 hours down, 1 hour to go. Keep it here on ESPN 700. All right, Drive at 5 time. Final hour of the program for the day and final hour of the program for the week. Happy weekend to you. Happy Friday to you. Hope you have some fun plans. Looks like we're going to get warm weather with a lot of snow on the ground. So much needed snow our way this week. But yeah, 45 degrees and sunny tomorrow, 50 and sunny on Sunday. So happy weekend. Happy Friday. Jam-packed sports weekend ahead. Some exciting Olympic hockey action earlier today. The U.S. men's hockey team was able to handle their business against Slovakia, and Canada had to come back from a 2-0 deficit to beat Finland. So the matchup everybody was hoping for, certainly the folks at NBC were hoping for, U.S. men to face Canada in the gold medal hockey game coming up on Sunday. I think that's about 6 o'clock Mountain Time. And then the Four Nations tournament a year ago, Four Nations face-off. Really kind of up this entire rivalry. So even if you're not a hockey fan, it's a much anticipated event that is must-watch TV on Sunday. Of course, as the Olympics are now kind of rolling down the final stages. It's been a really fun Olympic Games. It's always fun to watch it through the prism of what we all experienced here in 2002 and what we will experience coming up in a couple of cycles. So, U.S. men rout Slovakia. Gold medal game against Canada. That's kind of the number one news topic of the day today. Have we talked Mick Cronin? Have you and I discussed the Mick Cronin postgame incident? Did we talk about that?
No.
All right. So he has apologized for ejecting his own player. He owes that reporter an apology. Yeah, I would imagine you heard the postgame interaction, right?
Just the weirdest behavior from a guy who I've never found Mick Cronin to be very likable, but he's seeming to up the ante recently. And to try to walk down a reporter because it wasn't a question that necessarily I would have cared to ask, or asking about a student section, I think is one thing, but he took it as if it was threatening, or it was really weird behavior from a guy who I think can clearly see that there's some pressure on him, and it's because of the job he's doing, not the job the reporter's doing.
Yeah, he's a skeevy little weirdo, dude. That was such a weird thing. The reporter was not raising his voice, and he tried to tough talk him. Reminded me of that, was it Starsky and Hutch? It was Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson.
Yeah. When
the dead dude's there, and then Ben Stiller tries to say something tough to the dead guy, and Owen Wilson's like, did you just tough talk a dead body?
Well, and I don't necessarily want to we have some little birds who are friends of the program, right? Very little birds.
Oh, the tiny birds. Yeah, the little birds, cute little birds.
Mick Cronin is the size of a toddler.
Yes, he is.
So for him to try to walk down and play tough guy, it's just it has nothing to really do with that. But since he's going there, I'll go there. It's hilarious.
Who do you think would win in a fight between Tony Parks and Trey Fitzgerald?
Can we put that on pay-per-view?
Oh man, you know what? I am. That's all I'm going to think about all weekend. Tony and Trey actually getting in a fight.
No idea, to be clear.
Yeah, I don't know either. Trey's angrier. Tony's way nicer. Trey has this fire. Trey would probably pick up a brick if he needed to.
Right.
And Tony's just too nice. I think by default and by lack of chemical regulation, I'd go with Trey.
You might be right there.
But I would love to see that fight.
Yeah, if we regulate it, make it no weapons and such, I don't know. It could be a good bout.
Yeah, it's all I want to see now. All right, the Utah men are back in action. The Alex Jensen Coaches Show, by the way, comes your way when we say goodnight at 6 o'clock. Should be a fun one as the Utes are coming off their biggest win of the season, a road win in Morgantown against a really good West Virginia basketball team, and another very solid team is in town tomorrow. Johnny Dawkins and his UCF squad will roll into town 7 o'clock tomorrow night at the Huntsman. Let's get there. Let's do what we can to pack this building and support these young men coming off this awesome win. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say tickets are probably still available. So let's pack the building if we can. It'll be Iowa State next week, 7 o'clock on Monday on FS1. So that'll be a tough one as the Utes will try to continue their momentum after beating West Virginia on the road. BYU looking to bounce back and learn their identity without Richie Saunders, and it doesn't get any easier for them as Iowa State is in Provo tomorrow night at 8:30. Utah Jazz, well, the Utah Jazz are playing the Memphis Grizzlies tonight in a game where two professional basketball teams are trying to lose. So if you'd like to watch that, go ahead. But the NBA is back after the All-Star break. A lot of good NBA games tonight. ESPN has the coverage, so you don't have to download your 7th app and pay for another subscription to watch NBA basketball tonight. Mavericks T-Wolves, pretty good one in about 20 minutes. Cooper Flagg and our old buddy Rudy Gobert. So we got some good NBA action tonight. Clippers Lakers, pretty solid game. It's going to be tough to find good games every single night. Cavs Hornets, sneaky good game. Hornets have been a lot better as of late. So we've got some college and pro basketball. Real Salt Lake will get their 22nd campaign rolling tomorrow at 5:30 Mountain Time on Apple TV against a really good side, Vancouver, on the road. A lot of the new players RSL has signed are continuing to work through some visa issues. I'm not sure we're going to see Morgan Gilavogi, the new designated player. I think Lucas Engel is available. Stein Sperlings is not. So we'll see which of the new pieces make their debut coming up tomorrow as the soccer season is officially here. All right, coming up on the other side, the voice of the Utes, Bill Riley, joins us. We'll say goodnight at 6 and turn it over to Bill and the Alex Jensen Coaches Show right here on your home of the Utes, ESPN 700. All right, wrapping it up. Final segment of the show for the day and for the week. Happy Friday. I plan to not talk for 2 days. Long week, exhausted week. I'm not going to say one word for 2 days. That's my plan for the weekend. Not speak at all to anybody.
It. I challenge you.
Voice could use it. It's that Friday situation where it's kind of going a little bit. See, you have an interesting situation right now because there's snow on the ground, but there's also sun planned for the weekend. So what are we talking here? Are we getting outside? You got anything planned?
Probably it is supposed to be a little bit nicer over the weekend, but like you said, there's snow on the ground, so probably not going to get too high up in the mountains. But it doesn't really matter as long as it's over like freezing. I'm going to get out, whether it's a jog up the canyon, up the city creek, or up Immigration or something. I still make sure I get out and take care of it. And nothing extraordinary planned. We've got some hoops, we've got some hockey, we've got some soccer. We got a bunch of stuff to tune into this weekend. So,
what out of the weekend is most intriguing? If you had to pick one thing to watch all weekend, what would it be and why?
Probably the gold medal game this weekend. Like we talked about at the start of the show, I'm not a big hockey guy, but those stakes and the addition of the Olympics is always something that kind of pulls me in.
All right. Yeah, that'll be fun. So Sunday, the U.S. men's hockey team will battle Canada. So that's 6:15 Sunday night. I would imagine it is on NBC and not Peacock, so you probably won't have to choose between the two. I want to remind you that the Runnin' Ute basketball team is back in action coming up tomorrow at 7 o'clock against UCF here in Salt Lake City. BYU trying to get back to their winning ways. They welcome in a tough Iowa State team. Jazz playing the Grizzlies right now. And that's about it as far as the local sports scene goes. But, yeah, fun week. Hopefully you guys have something fun planned for the weekend. Good stuff on the program today. If you missed any of it, we'll tell you where to find it. Alex Jensen Coach's show coming up on the other side of a quick break. But, Porter, before we break, as our listeners make their way towards the weekend, what do we have coming up on a Monday edition of the show?
On a Monday edition of The Drive, we'll do some NBA Daily Assist with our guy Tom Haberstroh. The return of Sarah Todd on the program, talking some jazz and some tanking. Kevin Reynolds will stop by the program. We'll talk some RSL on the show, and then probably maybe grab a hockey guest. Go from there.
All right, there we go. So have a excellent weekend. And make sure to consume some college hoops, some NBA basketball. Of course, Olympic action rolls on, and we'll say goodnight. Special thank you to Bill Riley, Howard Beck, Paul Pugmire, and Sean Mooney. For any of the sound you may have missed from the program today, go to the website. It's ESPN700sports.com. If you missed any of the sound from the show today or all week long, you can check out our podcast page. It's up for your consumption. It's called The Drive with Spence Checketts. That's available wherever you get your shows. Mobile app is the ESPN 700 app. Available in the App Store and the Google Play Store. For Porter, I'm Spence saying goodnight. Have a great weekend, everybody. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. We'll talk to you on a Monday show. You can catch it right here on ESPN 700.